Super Earth, our home. Prosperity. Liberty. Hi there. Democracy. Our way of life. Oh, hello. But freedom doesn't come free. No! Sweet liberty! No! Look familiar? Scenes like these are happening all over the galaxy right now. You could be next. That is, unless you make the most important decision of your life. Prove to yourself that you have the strength and the courage to be free. Join the Helldivers. Become part of an elite peacekeeping force. See exotic new life forms. And spread managed democracy throughout the galaxy. Become a hero. Become a legend. Become a Helldiver.
That made
There we
me
go.
feel.
There we go. I was on mute. We were both on mute.
That made me feel very, very democratic. I love Super Earth. I love Super Democracy.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, like every time Helldivers 2 or Starship Troopers comes into the fray, right? Everybody starts talking about media literacy, and what they're trying to tell you, usually, as far as I'm concerned, is they're trying to tell you how to interpret a piece of work, and
yes.
in great fashion, it's always the way they want to interpret it.
Yeah, it's kind of like a paraphrase of that one Norm Macdonald joke. He's like, "Wow, would you look at that? Art agrees with every viewpoint I hold 100% of the time. Isn't that something?"
Yeah. Hey, what is crazy coincidence about history? It turns out the good guys have always won every war. Sort of thing.
I love that one. Yeah.
Yeah. And we always have to. It always turns into a fight because what it is they're trying to use some piece of art to tell us how we should like the art. However, I mean, if someone draws a picture of me and I'm like really muscular and really cool, and I look really badass, and they're saying I'm actually making fun of you, Alex, I'll be like, well, thank you. I like the picture. It makes me look badass. I was like, no, you're not badass. You're being a bully. I was like, nah, you drew me as a badass. I like that. It's mine now. Thank you. And it becomes that argument.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it is, and it's I forget like the exact wording of it, but that one political artist, no, it was Seamus. Yeah, Seamus from Freedom Tunes. He had a thing where it's like, I'm making fun of you. Well, you actually made me look really, really cool. So thanks, I guess.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. It's the Paul Verhoeven who did Starship Troopers?
Starship Troopers the movie, yeah.
Starship Troopers the movie.
I'm hoping that we can get into that a little bit because I have some very strong feelings about Paul Verhoeven as a person. I like the Starship Troopers movie a lot, but I like it in spite of Paul Verhoeven, not because of him, and I'll explain why later.
All right, yeah, very good, So we'll So first off, like, what is media literacy, right? Like, what is the take on media literacy? Now, you cannot assume that anybody uses words the way they're supposed to mean, right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. What do you think about this chud? Picture of me totally shredded, getting a bunch of like hot women. It's like
you're like those old like the old poster for Army of Darkness where it's like Ash, but he's just like jacked, and there's like a beautiful woman like hanging off his leg.
Yeah, exactly. If I pop this over, I'm gonna bring something up onto X here in a second. But there's a whole account called MythoMaga, and however you feel about Trump or whatever, MythoMaga just grabs all the images of Trump, and I'm gonna go through his media really quick because a lot of the images that he pulls that are like these awesome images of Trump are from the news trying to make fun of Trump. or like trying to say that Trump is dangerous or Trump is bad. I'm going to pull that up as soon as I find a pretty good example here. It's usually like magazine titles or something. Yeah. All right. So here's the Germans, of course, because the Germans only live in one place at one time forever. It's like,
I mean,
I know
we
you guys trying to make him look like a Nazi, but you made him look awesome. Sorry. It's like,
no, exactly. Well, what's actually really funny about that is they're trying to make him look at it like a Nazi, but what they've actually done is they've kind of come back full circle and they've like gone back to traditional Romanesque imagery, because I mean the Nazis did really want to invoke that by draping Trump in the like in the flag the way to where it looks like a toga. He doesn't look like a Nazi. He looks like a Roman like senator or something. Right. And I think I said that to like one of my friends when that image was first making the rounds. I said somebody needs to like the only thing this is missing to make it perfect is someone needs to Photoshop on like the golden laurel. I forget what they called that, but you know what I'm talking about, like the
laurel,
yeah, like that's the only thing it's missing to be like perfect, where it's just like Trump as a Caesar.
Like look at this. There's someone, they made a magazine. There's supposed to be a magazine picture or something like that, trying to make fun of Trump. It's like they made him look like a Batman character.
There's another one kind of like that. There's another one kind of like that with like red lighting behind him while he's holding the umbrella, and a bunch of people said like this just looks like the intro to a character in Metal Gear Solid.
Mm-hmm. This one is of Greenland, right? So he's him in Greenland. Yeah, like they didn't, because let me see what else we got here. Yeah.
Yeah, that one's great.
Look at this. What are they doing? They're making him look cool. I mean, if I didn't like Trump, I'd be upset to see this. I'd be like, stop making him look cool, you idiots. This is cool.
Yeah, like if you took all the text off, like if you just took all the text away, you'd just be like, you would think that MAGA like staged this photo. Like you would think this was like the White House press corps like doing this as fluff imagery.
And this is why Mytho MAGA is an interesting account, because they collect all this stuff. Yeah, like they're just making him look cool constantly. Let's see what else they got. There's the part where he was just all white for like a hot second. Someone got the exposure wrong with the flash. They're probably set for night exposures, and then someone let their flash up.
I like the one where it's a black and white of just like Trump's silhouette, but like his eyes are glowing white. I think that one's really cool. I like that one a lot. That's a good one. That's a good one.
Oh my gosh. All right, what was this? Here we go. Someone made a 3D. They did a grok imagine of it.
Oh dang, yeah, he's walking all over the world.
Yeah, like, oh my gosh, it is so funny.
These are awesome.
Yeah,
that's a pretty good one. Yeah,
that's a pretty good one. The mind of Donald Trump. This one's not as good. This one actually is like,
that one's pretty average.
Yeah, it's pretty average. Yeah, it's not bad. It's just not good. Yeah, well, yeah, like
yeah, the silver lining of Trump.
Let me see. This one is always the funniest one. Nobody made this one. Someone just drew this on.
That's good.
The eyes one is just a photo a cameraman took. I have to remember what that one is, but yeah. The eyes one, the one where he's lit up, like this one.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, that's the eyes one. Yeah, good catch, Diddley. So the media has been trying to constantly. This is why we bring Trump up, is because he is whether you like him or not, he is a subject of media a lot. Like you cannot study 21st century media without spending a tremendous amount of time on Trump, I think, in the future, like 100 years from now, or forever from now.
Sure.
Because he is at the emergence of all alternative media as well. Like, so how does the new media sphere, how does it determine power in a democratic society? Right. This is not like Watergate, right? Where Nixon is going to be indicted by the public because there's 3 channels on, and all 3 channels have decided that Nixon's guilty no matter what. Like,
sure.
The alternative media has led to alternative takes. It has allowed.
For sure.
people to get sources from elsewhere. So people are no longer told what to think. They will see what they see, and then they will have somebody who predetermines. Now, there's also the parasocial element, right? But the problem is, like, if you're against Trump and there's a parasocial element in the influencer sphere, constantly putting like images of him that look like this is not helping the anti-Trump people. Like it's making everything has now become Trump centric. Trump is now the sun. Like he's now the thing at which everything orbits effectively, right? Yeah, it's just Trump is. And the thing is, he's not even trying to aura farm. He's not posing for most of these pictures.
No, it's just the kind of guy he is. He just that was always Donald Trump's greatest greatest asset is his entire media persona is he just doesn't care what other people think about him specifically. Like he just doesn't care.
He's a certain type of narcissist that is very self-assured. There's two types of narcissists as far as I know right now. If anybody is in the comments understands psychology and can correct me, feel free to correct me. There's two types of narcissist. One that's very parasitic that needs to be constantly reassured. So I call that the insecure narcissist, whereas Trump is a hyper secure narcissist. If he loses, it's because he was either meant to lose or he'll be back. He's not looking for validation from anybody else. He seems to be fairly self-sufficient in terms of his narcissism, which can be very functional.
I think he seems like he's the kind of guy where it doesn't matter if 500 people hate him as long as one person likes him. So it's the people who cheer for him and clap and like all the MAGA people who are like his big fans, all the celebrities who still try to say nice things about him. Like he cares about that, and he doesn't care at all like what the people who hate him think.
And I'm actually gonna start the conversation about media literacy with this image of they are trying. The author's intent is fairly clear. They're German, so I assume that they're pretty liberal, like hyper leftist. Even the conservatives in Europe are pretty leftist. Yeah. Compared to America's. But anyway, there's that map going around about atheism, like how many people believe in God, and like America is just like even the worst part, not worst, but even the most like atheistic parts of America, you'd think, still are fairly confident there's a God. And then you compare it to Europe, where it's like in the barely in the double digits.
Yeah, exactly.
Where the worst parts of America were like 60%. It's just so. Anyways, it's not. You cannot compare the European right and the American right at all. So, anyways, what I'm saying is that they're trying to make him look bad. I assume this is what the intent is. The author's intent is like look at America draped in the flag, and underneath there is a Nazi. The reality, though, right? What the readers get from this, what the viewers get from this, is a tremendous number of psychological signals, and this pulls into some recent news. Let me see if I can find it really quick. If I look at the old x.com here, and I look at, I'm just going to type the word polls in. Poll strength. See if I can find it. Yeah, so here's a poll that went through. When it comes to strong, the polls say that 46% of people polled believe that the GOP is strong. Only 23, so half, believe the Democrats are strong. Strength. Right. And then weakness, you could see like a similar thing of like more people think the Dems are weak than the GOP. Right. And that's what this is portraying.
Sure.
Despite all of the intended portrayal, like what the intention was. Sorry, good?
No, I'm just agreeing. I'm agreeing.
Yeah. Feel free to agree. If you have any like more you want to dig into, feel free. But like I'm going to go into the death of the author is something we're definitely going to talk about. I had my way with Nick Fuentes. W3K. I heard that Fuentes is going for a lot less these days. I heard his premium is used to be.
He's got off on this weird thing where he's kind of like he's trying to just lean into like the fact that people have kind of like figured him out about that's right. I do exist to demoralize you. He's trying to like do that, but he's like still also trying to like turn it around and be like, but it's just like, but I'm doing it to like make you strong. It's like he's trying to keep the grift. He's trying to keep the grift up, but it's like nobody who didn't like already dislike you before is like won over by what you're saying, and all you're really doing is just like alienating your diehard Groyper audience into like stop listening to you. But I think that like his coffin was pretty much nailed shut the second he started doing all that stuff with like Sneeko and Tate and what's that one other clavicle
clavicular or whatever.
Yeah. That
Is,
that weirdo.
Yeah, that's he's some miles on him, 100%. Yeah, he's been run through. I think him endorsing Kamala was because if you associate yourself with Kamala, it doesn't matter anything else, any reasons or whatever. It's just like you've associated yourself with Cackle McPantsuit, and that's just what you're associated with now.
Yeah, and it's like that's pretty much where like the average like person on the right who has like any semblance of just sort of like self-preservation and like very moderate like critical thinking skills would look at that statement and be like, I don't want to listen to you because I think it's better to win imperfectly than to lose.
Correct,
So I
yeah.
think I would rather win, even though it's not the best win ever. It's still better than losing.
The thing I want to talk about, so somebody even in one of their comments, the thing is they are so fixated on power that when they see it, even if they despise it, they are wholly unable to depict it any other way than awesome. 100% true. Like the Europeans are this weird prostrated people, especially the Germans after World War II, where they don't feel like they should ever be allowed to be powerful. They're supposed to be these very feminized, cooperative,
and that's kind of
seeking people. Whereas Trump is not a consensus seeker. He's going to enforce.
Yes, and I was just going to say, like, I normally don't like it when people like blame America for stuff. But the thing about like Germany being the way they are, that kind of is on us because we socially conditioned them to be that way, and we've made it to where they'll never be able to move on from World War II because we made them that way. And so it's like it's getting to the point now where it's like they can't ever have even just a crumb of nationalism ever again, or else they might turn to the Nazis again. And
things turn around fast though, and they have opportunities to turn around. I don't believe that they're doomed. Like I don't believe that the Germans are our slaves.
Well, nobody's doomed. Eventually, societies will just collapse under their own decadence, and then a new version of a different society will just build on what was there before. But I was gonna say, like, you see the exact opposite with Japan. Like leftists love to be like, we need to remind Japan about their war crimes. They haven't apologized enough for their war crimes.
No,
and I think Japan is the way they are because we basically we built them up in a position to where they learned from their mistakes, and they've moved on and they're better as a society. Because like if you ask like the average Japanese person, like, what do you think about World War II? And like they're kind of like the way they're taught it is like, well, we were ruled by some bad people and like some bad things happened. And then, the Americans like defeated us and they got rid of the bad leaders and like better people were in charge after that. And like that's pretty much like what they learned. And that's basically correct. It's a very like simplified version of what actually happened with like MacArthur and like the rebuilding, but it's like that's basically what happened. But like constantly being like, no, you can never live down this shame. And I'm like, I think like the last Japanese like war veteran is like 100+ years old, if there even are any. It's like that generation, like they're gone. Like it's all the men you want to be mad at, they're dead. Like,
well, I mean, that's another subject for another time for sure, because that's an entire rabbit hole to dive down of like, why can't Europe turn over a new leaf, whereas Japanese just was eager to do so. And I think part of it, to give my short answer, we'll spend like another minute or two on this, is a fascinating subject, but I want to give it its justice, maybe its own stream of like, why Japan and not Europe, right? Like, why Japan and not UK? That's actually an interesting question. The Japanese got back into the game and were very aggressive. I think that they have a certain like American quality to them. I feel like they are more of our brothers than the Europeans are in a lot of ways, in terms of they don't mind being great, and they don't mind like having bosses and being awesome. Like they want to create these mega corporations that are like these massive zaibatsu sort of things. They want to create these. They want, like, if you look at all the different things Honda does or Mitsubishi does, like they do tons of stuff. They are a what's it called? A conglomeration.
Yeah.
They believe in power.
Mega corporation at this point.
And they are merchant lords. They basically transition from being a warrior led class people to a merchant led class people, which means they were already on the merchant boat before America got there.
Yes, honestly. They were. Yeah, and that's like part of why it opened up. But it's like you said, we'll talk about that as like a subject for the video. But to steer it back around, the reason why this doesn't really work is because the Germans have been kind of like socially conditioned to think that abject nationalism is bad, because that's what the Nazis did, and so they try to use that. They try to use that iconography
of like Never wield the ring of power. Always be deferential to, like, always distribute power. I have a video on my YouTube channel actually where I talk about the masculine and versus feminine reaction to having power. And when men have, by the way, all this stuff is stuff I noticed. I am actually not included in this. I'm very oddly enough, paradoxically feminine in a lot of my dispositions and behaviors. So I tend to fall on the feminine side of what I'm about to describe. And that's when you have power, women tend to want to distribute it, right? Whereas when men have power, and they consider it a zero sum, like when women tend to have power, it's a zero sum, and they want to distribute it. Of like, imagine a brother and sister have an Italian restaurant, and it's only one of them gets to run it. Like, okay, if the lady gets to run it, you kind of imagine that she's going to start raising people's wages. She's going to give more fair hours. She's going to be nicer to people. She's going to talk about work-life balance. You give it to the brother, he's probably going to be like, I'm going to whip this place into shape. It needs to be more efficient. There's going to be some changes around here. The lowest performing busboy is out of here. I don't care.
Cut the chaff and wring out the slack.
Exactly. Like my dad was getting old. When my dad ran this place, he was getting old. He's in his dotage. He let a lot slip. We're not slip. So in other words, the reaction to power is that men tend to consolidate and grow power. Like we're like power farmers. Imagine power as being like a harvest of wheat, right? Yeah. The men are going to say, we're not eating as much. Like we're going to plant all this. Like we've been given a ton of wheat to eat or plant. We're going to plant as much as possible and eat as little as possible. Whereas the ladies will tend to be more, generous and largesse. This is why I'm saying I'm more of the feminine side, because I tend to be very generous and understanding.
Sure.
Which is
it's the way I look at it. Like when men have power, they don't view power as like some kind of absolute thing that they can just like wield and lord it. Now, absolutely, there are men throughout history who have viewed it that way, but they're in the minority, not the majority, because most men view power as a responsibility, where it's you're upholding something, you're perpetuating something, and that power is just a means to do all that. And so it's like you said with like the wheat, it's like you have to have good second order thinking skills so you can like use your power to make sure that your power is perpetuated, make sure that your kingdom will go on.
Like guys will be given a fortune and they'll say that's not enough, we need more. Whereas ladies will be given a fortune, they'll say like, well, I'm going to help people with it, I'm going to use it. So there's a usage side versus a growing side. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
sure,
guys are more on the usage side, where it's like they see power as men will tend to see power as always fragile, which is also why you'll see in a workplace that men tend to be more understanding of a very belligerent boss, whereas a lady will not be so tolerant to a very, very aggressive boss. They'll be like, that's toxic, that's not good.
Well, stress can be an excuse for some things, but it's not an excuse for everything. But most men will understand that, like, if your boss is like coming down hard on you,
it's a fragile situation is usually what you're gonna the degenerate. Yeah, exactly. It's like, damn, he really needs that report. I'm not going to let him down.
It's like my workplace. Like I had a boss who, like, he was, an old like boomer, and he was pretty like free and easy. Like he never really got too deep into our business as long as we were getting results, we were producing, we were meeting our quotas. Like he kind of like left us alone. But whenever something was like tight and like people above him were kind of like breathing down his neck, he would get a little bit more cagey and a little bit more stern. And like we all know what he's really like. So when he acts that way, where it's like, well, he's not being a jerk. It's just he's kind of stressed out because there's a certain productivity that needs to be met, and it's not anybody's fault, but it's just we're not getting there. So he's trying to push us a little harder. And so it's like, we understand that. Now, if he's just like that all the time, then we're going to think like, yeah, that guy's just a jerk. And he
might just think that's just his personality too. Like,
yeah, exactly. But
guys will be more apt to tolerate that. We might go get another job, but we won't complain. Like I don't know what the statistics would be, but I wonder if like visits to HR tend to be more women than men.
I have a very high tolerance for like stress in the workplace from like jerk bosses. Like I can take it pretty well, because I dealt with one that was pretty bad, and it kind of like conditioned me on like how to do it. Eventually it's just kind of like, I get paid a lot of money to do what I do, and getting abuse from customers is kind of half the reason why or like getting abuse from clients is like half of what they pay me like such high amounts for.
Yeah, it's
So
built
why
in.
should it be any
Yeah.
different dealing with like coworkers or bosses who treat me
Right.
that way? I'm getting paid to deal with this, so it's just kind of like that kind of helps like release some of the steam. It's just like I don't get as mad about stuff as I used to because like you're paying me to deal with this. I don't. It's not going
Yeah.
to bother me.
Anyways, to this thing though, I want to analyze a little bit of the imagery here as well. Is like they show his shoulders are squared up, like he looks like underneath he could be a football player build, right here. Strong straight arm, fingers like in proper format, looks purposeful, looking straight at the camera. Yes, they're portraying strength.
Well, so this is like they're trying to do like the Zeke Heil thing to invoke Nazi imagery, but the problem with that is if you actually look at the way Nazis would do their salute, it was a lot more stiff and orderly,
Yes,
and
correct.
just like but like the way he's doing this would be the way a traditional like Roman senator would do the Roman salute. You can see that his torso is slightly relaxed. It looks like his legs under the flag aren't stiff, and I can't really see it, but it looks like his other arm looks like it's kind of like resting on his hip.
Yeah, it's relaxed.
There.
It's in his pocket, I think. It's relaxed with confidence.
So yeah, that's how a Roman senator would like greet people with like the Roman salute. Yeah. So this doesn't read as fascism. This reads as like old style republicanism.
Which is exactly what all of our nations are based off of, which is not so they're trying to, what it is what we've really circled around here is that we the audience, especially the American audience, have a different relationship to strength and power than the creators of this picture were, right? Now, the problem is the writer's intent doesn't actually, and this is what Cosmo was talking about in the private chat before, is that there's a couple of different ways of looking at a piece of work, but this writer's intent, the creator's intent here, is not indicative of anything. Like if he said, "Oh, I did this as a joke," first off, it doesn't affect the work, right? Like if you read, there's a great satirical article called "A Modest Proposal."
Oh, is that the one about the Irish who just like eat their children if they're hungry? That one?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. I know that one.
If you take that 100% seriously. If I tell you that it was written by a mental patient, you'd say like, "Oh my God, that's a ghastly article." If you say like, "Oh, I wrote this, it's written by a guy who's satirizing like English policy with Ireland," and you're like, exactly. "Oh, that's really funny." That's when the author's intent and the author's context actually transforms the work, right?
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
No author's intent actually transforms this work at all. Like this is pretty set.
Well, it's also
not transformed by the author's intent because we're just going to say you're wrong.
Well, the author's intent doesn't mean much of anything if they're not talented enough to get it across in the medium, because they can fail. Like you can try to do satire and fail. And I'll bring it up a little bit now, but like one of the reasons why I don't like Paul Verhoeven's view of Starship Troopers.
Yeah, let's go ahead and bring up Starship Troopers. All right, so we're going to put away Trump here for a second. So this whole thing about Trump was not about Trump, really. It's about how the media tries to spin things and how the audience receives them.
Yeah.
Right. So we're gonna get him out of here.
The reason why I don't like Paul Verhoeven's view of Starship Troopers, even though I do like the film, is because the biggest reason is because he didn't even read the book. He didn't read the actual book that Robert A. Heinlein wrote, and he just because he thought it was like, oh, this is like propagating fascism, which it's not. That's not even remotely close to what Starship Troopers is supposed to be a satire of. It's not meant to be taken like in seriousness that like this is a preferential way to run a government. The Heinlein satire that he intended with the book Starship Troopers was he was asking questions about the concept of, is universal suffrage a good idea or not? And the whole thing about like, you have to serve in the military to get the vote he's not saying this is a good system. He's just like, the thing he's pointing out is that you need to be like Johnny Rico, and you need to have strong ties to your community and to your country, and you need to have very good second order thinking skills so that you can actually properly assess the possible consequences of your actions before you make them. And that's why people like that are like entitled to the vote, because they're more apt for it. And that's what he was talking about, is he was trying to make people think about, does everyone actually deserve the right to vote in a democratic republic? And so like that was like the point, but he didn't Paul Verhoeven didn't get that from it. He just thought it was like pro-fascism.
Well, the thing is,
like pro-militarism, and it wasn't.
What this does, like what this, I put it away. What this does right here And what Paul Verhoeven has done is they've just displayed their ignorance. Because they've spoken the. It's like if I said, I'm going to speak some Japanese, okay, guys? I'm going to speak some Japanese. I'm going to say a message in Japanese. And then I say the message, and I said, I have a big stinky diaper full of poo. And I'm like, oh, well, my intention was to say hello, everyone, and welcome to the convention. My ignorance of Japanese doesn't transform that message. I've just communicated the wrong message. I've fallen into the trap of the ignorant. So I feel like it's
well, there's actually a real life example of that. It's when JFK went to West Germany back in the 60s. He did the Ich ein Berliner or whatever. Like, I'm a jelly donut is like what he said. But but the other reason why I don't respect Paul Verhoeven's vision of Starship Troopers is ignoring the fact that he didn't read the book and he didn't understand the book. Which is already hilarious in and of itself, because people try to use Starship Troopers as like, you have poor media literacy if you like this, because Paul Verhoeven had poor media literacy of
didn't have literacy. He just had poor like straight up literacy.
Yeah, exactly. But the whole point is the way Paul Verhoeven describes his idea for Starship Troopers is he had an idea about this like idealistic high school story where like the man graduates high school and joins the army. And you think it's like this big rousing, like good feel kind of old propaganda picture. And then it turns out the army he joined was like the Nazi army. And that was like what he wanted to convey. And he wanted to like do a send up of like Goebbels style propaganda. Like, what was it? What was that?
The newsreels?
Not the newsreels. It was
was it Birth of a Nation? That's American one.
No, it wasn't Birth of a Nation. That was D.W. Griffith. It was like the something of the will, like rising of the will, or
the strength of the will.
Strength of the will. Thank you. Yeah, like he wanted to do like a send up of like that kind of movie. But the problem is, if you're trying to do a satire of how propaganda affects people, is there has to be a payoff where you realize that what you're being shown isn't the truth. And that never happens in Starship Troopers. Starship Troopers is just an actual straightforward story of like humans having to like wipe out the bugs that want to like kill them before they can actually like reach Earth and destroy Earth. And so the whole film is justified because all you see is what is presented to you. There's no card turn where you realize you've been lied to. So him trying to say it's a satire of propaganda, it doesn't work because there's nothing to show us that the propaganda is a lie.
Correct. Yeah, and there's no realization on the main character's part. There's no anagnorisis or peripetia, right? There's no I've made a realization that redefines myself. It was like I was right the whole time. Isn't that? And you're supposed to, as the audience, I guess, supposed to be like, well, these people, this is bad. But the thing is, the creators are so deluded and so ignorant of their own medium that they accidentally portrayed something that has rendered their intent moot, right? Like there's an actor, I'm going to put him on screen. Colin Quinn. You know Colin Quinn?
I know him. Yeah, he was the Weekend Update guy for Saturday Night Live in like the early 2000s.
I really like Tufts Crowd. The Colin Quinn is really funny. He's really underrated, and he had a really amazing thing to say about impressions, because he does great impressions. Is that if you want to do an impression of someone, you have to like them, because if you don't like them, you don't understand them. That's amazing. Thing is, I would agree with that, but I would also kind of like, I would personally paraphrase it is you have to, if you're going to do it, you can't be trying to make fun of them. You have to just try to be them and let the material you're delivering do it, because that's the problem with like so many, like, to, you know, just to try like tie it back to Trump again. I don't know his name. Did Norm say that? Oh shit. Did Norm say that? Maybe Norm said that. Can you do research on that? Can you figure that out? Because I hate being wrong.
The guy that SNL has doing their Trump right now, I don't know his name, but he just tries to play Trump straight. He just tries to get the vocal intonation right, and he just tries to behave as Trump would behave, and he gets it right most of the time. Like, he gets it pretty good most of the time, but he's not trying to be over the top and like, well, isn't this guy so stupid? He's just playing it straight, and he's letting the material do the work. Whereas you compare that to Alec Baldwin, where he's like squinting so hard his eyes might as well be shut. He's like sticking his lips out way too far. He's not doing the voice right.
There's genuine, there's a lot of, and this is a new thing, right? This is not what we're talking about, but there's a lot of uncanny valley when you genuinely hate the subject you're trying to satirize. You actually have to like a little bit of what you're satirizing, and understand it. At least a little bit, like understand what the draw is. Because if you don't understand the draw, then you can't dig in and then show why the draw isn't worth it. That's what satire is, of like, you like this thing, right? Well, guess what? It's not worth it because this is what happens.
Well, yes, and like but like that's like even the thing with like the theory of comedy is like, sure, like gauche, just sort of like, immediately like gauche camp parody of a person and their mannerisms directly, that can be funny, but that is always going to be fighting the joke you're actually meaning to deliver on the back end. Whereas like if you just play it straight as the person you're trying to parody and you let the material do the legwork, you're not fighting the joke.
All right, so it looks like we're pretty confident that it was Norm Macdonald. We got multiple.
Okay, and Norm was such a gem.
Yeah, Norm was great.
He
was never someone you had to find out what he really thought. He would just let you know.
Yeah,
he was great. The author's intent here is displaced due to ignorance, and there's no leverage that context could possibly. There's no lever that context could possibly exercise to change the trajectory of Starship Troopers. It's just an awesome movie of good guys fighting a bunch of.
It's fun, yeah. It's like it's quotable. Like the effects are pretty good for their time. I always quote the one thing of that Clancy Brown's character does, where like he throws the knife into the guy's hand. He's like, the enemy cannot press a button if you disable his hand.
Exactly. Yeah. Which is like what it does. All that harshness did was just reinforce how important their mission was.
Yeah.
Which the drop of Klendathu was absolutely vindicated all of the cruelty.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like the setting as it is presented to you, it is a zero-sum game. Like in the book, the actual book Starship Troopers, what the bugs are and what they think, if they do think, that's not important even a little bit. That's not what the book's about. It just uses the bug war and like the Space Marines as like set dressing for the actual question being posed.
Well, the bugs were intended to represent essentially communism, just mindless collectivism.
Sure, like, and you can definitely take a read of it from. I don't know.
Well, I think
that's
what it explicitly was, wasn't it? Was that? I think that was explicit.
I would need to see if Heinlein actually intended that. Sure. Which he probably could have, because he didn't like. He really hated very much.
Yeah, he really hated communism.
But it's like that's not really what's really important, and that kind of. I mean, you liked my tweet, and you said we'd talk about it later. That little thread I made about like why I get upset about people doing the whole like, don't you know this is making fun of you? Don't you know you're the bad guy? Yes. It's like you're missing the forest for the trees, because it's like that's not what any of these settings are supposed to be about, and you're trying to read too much into it, and you're trying to apply your own personal like politic thinking into this medium where it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, exactly. This whole thing of like, oh, don't you know this is making fun? What they end up doing is they say that media literacy is just a cudgel of like, hey, you read this wrong. You watched this wrong.
You don't understand. You're stupid.
Yeah, exactly. Which is essentially like saying like, oh, you ate this burger and you liked it. This burger's making fun of you. It's like, the burger's good. I like the burger. Like the burger. Actually, you know what? I'm a burger. The burger is supposed to be a satirical piece that makes you realize how stupid burgers are. It's like, actually, this is a really good burger. Thank you.
Okay, you got me. You got me, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. The ignorance, and this is well known, right? This is well known, is that the diversity of thought on the right is significantly higher than the diversity of thought on the left. Now, a lot of people on the right think that that's a strength of the left. It's like, well, listen, they're all lockstep. I don't think it's a strength. I actually really enjoy conflict. I enjoy disagreeing with people.
Sure.
I will give libertarians a lot of crap, but I'm kind of glad that they're there, but I don't consider them on the right. But I'm like, I don't mind the left as long as they're not in power. Like there is a lot of good points they have sometimes. Like I want some conflict. Give me some.
Yeah, I say this all the time, but like iron sharpens iron. A knife isn't going to get any better as a knife unless it has something sharp to hone itself against. And that's why you need that. You can't let yourself get like soft, be it physically or ideologically, because then you'll just like retreat to like safe positions every time.
Exactly. So I want challenge, but I want better challenges than this. Like I wouldn't mind a satire of Trump or Trump's base, but right now the best satire would be of the weird dissident right, which is a bunch of grifters. I think I saw a really interesting tweet earlier today that was showed a Captain Planet meme, and it showed like everyone, you know how Captain Planet's a bunch of different diverse people.
Oh yeah, like
make
Earth,
Captain Planet.
Air, wind, heart,
fire,
yeah,
and then heart.
Yeah,
which is
the dumbest element ever.
Yeah, I know. Caring about people. Everybody else doesn't give a shit. Only the guy with the heart. Only Haji gives a shit.
I hate Captain Planet so much. It's I don't that would be, I think that'd be a fun one to talk about some other time. Like just like how bad
the brainwashing of cartoons.
Ted Turner's like how badly Ted Turner's views aged over the years when he made that show.
Yeah, it turns out pollution isn't that big of a deal. There are a lot of things that I do get passionate about for pollution, but mostly it's litter.
Well, it's also like they did an episode about like overpopulation, which never happened because ironically enough, most nations in like on the planet, like their populations are in decline. So it's like
even India.
It's just like, well, you were wrong about that one too, Ted.
Mm-hmm. Well, so going back to the subject at hand is that
yes,
like they're trying to feed us this horrible burger that's supposed to be satire burger, and this burger is delicious, and we actually like it, and we're pro burger now. Thank you for convincing us.
Well, it's also
because they don't. All right, so one second. What they do is they present a bunch of things that are supposed to be morally questionable, but it creates this is why iron sharpens iron. Is it actually creates a discussion of like, well, why do we like these things? This thing that's supposed to make fun of us, we actually like it. Think about why, and then put together. Oh, this is why this is important. Like having a military does not equal fascism. Like a militarism, a military culture is not fascism either.
No. But like there has to be an aha, like, oh, there's a problem here, like this, like there's a reason why this falls apart if you look at it a little bit. But that's the problem. There's no aha. There's like they're just presenting it to you, and it's just cool. It's just good.
Yeah. The only problem in the Starship Troopers universe is these damn dirty bugs.
Yeah. And but I was gonna say, like, we kind of talked about, like, me and some of my buddies, we kind of talked about this, like, either last night or the night before that, I can't remember. But the whole thing of like, this is making fun of you, like, can't you tell that? Is I think that's like the dichotomy of how people who are like left wing versus right wing behave in like media spaces. Is people on the left, like, they'll get made fun of and they'll take it to heart and they'll internalize it and they'll personalize it.
Yeah, we don't mind being made fun of.
Well, unless you can actually hurt my feelings, which is pretty impossible because I have a really thick skin. But it's like, unless you can actually hurt my feelings, I don't care.
The only thing that really gets the right standard up is if you would just lie. We hate liars.
Well, it's like you can say Warhammer 40K is making fun of you, Chud. Like the Imperium of Man is actually the bad guys. Like, it's making fun of you. Doesn't that matter that it's making fun of you? It's like, it didn't hurt my feelings, so I don't care. Like, it's just
exactly.
I don't care.
Earlier, somebody said earlier, like, I had my way with Nick Fuentes here, said, who are you going to root for, humanity or the bugs? Exactly. Same thing with Warhammer 40K. I was keeping this comment like in my back pocket, ready for it. Yeah. Like, who are you going to root for? Because eventually it comes down to, and this is why I think this is why I think mythos are supposed to be useful. Like last week's show, I kind of came down hard on Lord of the Rings, and for good reason, I think. Oh, yeah, Cosmo's here. One second. Hey, Cosmo.
Hey, Cosmo.
Hey, guys.
Hey-o. How you doing, man? He was having a succulent, not Chinese meal.
Yeah.
Totally permissible. No worries.
It was bulldog with some provolone and egg and some steak.
Yeah, so a succulent Korean meal.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yes.
Yeah, we're just talking about how mythos, like jumping off from last week, how mythos can be useful. The reason why the left is actually kind of useful is when they unintentionally make this very pro right wing stuff. And it's like, this is supposed to be making fun of you, and we actually really like it. We have to ask ourselves, why do we like it? And what like Warhammer 40K, what Starship Troopers, and what Helldivers 2 affirms is it ends up affirming in-group identity, which is exactly the opposite of what leftists would want.
Sure.
It's like, we are the humans, we are the good guys by default. Like, I don't give a shit what the bugs' reasons are. They're killing our people.
Yes, and I kind of brought this up a little bit last week in the pre-show, but I think a lot of people have A lot of the people who like complain about like nobody's media literate anymore is like they don't understand what the word satire like can mean in most situations. They think satire just means like making fun of or parodying something, but sometimes like satire can just be presenting something through a certain lens to make you like have certain considerations. And the original like satire of Warhammer 40K wasn't fascism is bad. The original satire of 40K was it poses a question, which is what are you prepared to sacrifice and how far are you willing to go to make sure that like humanity survives.
This is
And
the
so
thing
it's like,
I've noticed
would you
about.
give up democracy? Would you give up certain human rights? Like, would you do this or would you do that? And the answer is probably, well, if it's death or life, I think I'm going to do the things that will give me life.
The common thread, this is just a quick note I had. I've been thinking about this for about 20 years about why do people win wars? What makes someone win a war? Because if you tell me anything strategic, technological, tactical, there's always an exception. And the one common thread that I found, which is not a very strong thread, but this is the thread I have, is the person who wins the war tends to be the one who's willing to go the furthest and sink the deepest to win it.
Yes, want to is like definitely a big aspect to it, but it's a combination of
like, are you willing to put a hand grenade in the diaper of a baby and then hand it to an American soldier? Like that is actually how you win wars.
It has to be a combination of two things. It has to be a good combination of ideological will to succeed and also physical will to succeed, because like you have the American Civil War,
material will with all.
Yeah, because the Confederates really wanted to win.
You still have to have sufficient force to beat the enemy.
Yes,
correct.
Yeah, the Confederates really wanted to win, but they didn't have the overwhelming numbers or the overwhelming.
They weren't willing to go into guerrilla warfare. They thought that was beyond.
No, they did. But they did. They did, because that's what the Jayhawkers were the Union version, but the guerrilla, the Confederates had guerrillas. That's what.
They didn't go into full on. They didn't let it. Another Appomattox. This is my understanding. The surrender at Appomattox Courthouse was there to basically staunch that. It was like, we're done.
Well, but it didn't work. That's what the James Gang was. They were former Confederate guerrillas who were just like, well, we're not going to stop. We're just going to keep going, and they just became.
Well, that's what. Well, they're not part of it.
So Lee's general staff approached him and advised, "Okay, we've lost. Let's just go into full-on insurgent mode." And Lee said, "No."
That's what I'm saying. Exactly. It's like they could have gone further. They decided it wasn't worth. And I'm glad they didn't go further. I think we're better for it, because the thing is, peace is sometimes the answer to war. What I'm saying though is that how far you're willing to go to win a war is really who determines who's going to win the war. And one of the bits I'm going to say is, like, in peacetime, are you willing to sacrifice to win wars? Europe doesn't matter. They might want to win the war against Russia if they really, really wanted to, but it's going to be a lot harder because they didn't want to pay the peace. They cashed the peace dividend. They didn't reinvest it into the war chest. You know what I'm saying? It's like, so preparing for war just makes it easy. And America basically war maxes, peacetime war maxes. And sometimes we have wars that just help us win the future wars. Not as an intention, but as a result. Like in other words, what I'm saying, I'll conclude really quickly. America prepares for war all the time so that our wars have minimal casualties.
Sure. Yeah, I could agree with that.
Minimal sacrifice.
I was gonna say another thing that kind of dictates that is it's who's ceding more ground, because that's something that will eventually lose a war for people who are perfectly prepared to sacrifice everything in terms of the soldier class. If you get too deep into their home territory and their civilian citizenry is experiencing a state of total war, they are not prepared to keep going, and they will stop. Because the Nazis and the Japanese both had a contingency for civilian soldier carrying on, and if the Americans get into our territory, everyone must be ready to fight. But too many of those people are I don't want to do that. I don't want to die. And so it's just existing people who aren't prepared to make those considerations and those sacrifices once they are existing in a state of total war, they just can't cope with it, and they will just surrender.
That's what I'm saying, is the only common thing I've found about victors in wars, they're willing to sacrifice the most. They're willing to. It doesn't mean they actually do, but they're willing to sacrifice.
Did we lose Cosmo?
Cosmo's in the backstage. Cosmo,
Okay.
private message. You want me to bring you back in? I assume there's a reason why you popped in the backstage.
But yes,
Like that's the common thread. I'm saying that's all I'm saying. Like
Sure.
that's what anything else tends to get into the weeds and tends to get disproven by another example. The only common thread I found is that are you willing to give up the most? And then if you're not willing to give up everything, then it's no longer an argument. It's a negotiation.
sure.
Like how much are you willing to give up? And
of course, like if you exist in a state of victory, you almost like have to pick up another war on the back end. In some cases, because like I mean, you see that a little bit with like the Revolutionary War periods. Like after America won its independence, they had immediate problems of people who weren't ready to assimilate and like put down the gun, and so like that's why you get like the Shays Rebellion, like the Whiskey Rebellion is just kind of like it's.
I think I
like,
put down.
Yeah, you have to like sometimes like your dogs of war need to get put down.
Well, this is exactly. Well, yeah. Then this is the other thing of like, how far are you willing to go? Like how far? Like, and this is why like these weird leftist depictions of the evil right actually strengthen the right because it strengthens our resolve because it makes us ask how far are you willing to go? And the answer usually becomes like after a certain point, all the way. Like or very, very, very far beyond what they want. Like they're asking, like, well, how much would you be willing to continue fighting if there was a civil war with what was that movie called? Was the movie just called Civil War, the one that came out like a year ago?
Oh yeah, and the one that wasn't very good. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just like it'd be great if they just leaned into it and just be like, no, we're picking a side. Fuck it.
Well, I mean, like that would have been fine, but it's just like they didn't even explain why the Civil War happened, other than just kind of like vague platitudes of like, oh, the president has gone too far and he drone striked civilians, and it's just like, yes, but why? What made him do it? Like, what was it that caused all this? And they never get into it because they wanted to keep it vague, and that
they wanted to avoid
premise.
the fight, not pick a side.
It's like I felt like that's the problem. I wanted to like that movie because I felt personally kind of represented in it because there's like a faction of like militia guys in that movie who wear like blue jeans, Hawaiian shirts, and plate carriers. And like this is just like the mobilized, like this is like the 21st century Minuteman, like the guy who just like slapped on his plate carrier, grabbed his rifle, and ran out the door like while he was at like the bar with the fellas. And it's like I love that. I love the aesthetic of Hawaiian shirt with like tactical gear because I think it's cool.
Well, we'll have to have a Rumble stream where I talk about what an actual American Civil War would look like because it is extremely bannable for me to talk about.
The only thing I think that movie got right about like what would a current day Civil War look like is there's that one part where they go to that really small town. It's like pretty inundated from like most of the fighting, and they go to like into a store and like they're like the news reporters are surprised because it just looks like life as usual. And like, don't you guys know there's like a war going on? And they're just like, we just try to stay out of it. Cause that's how the American Civil War actually worked. Like there were certain areas where they were just completely separated from it. And they just like, they knew it was going on and they might've like tacitly supported one side or the other, but it's just like, it wasn't affecting them personally. So it's just like, I mean, we still have to just like go about our daily business. Like we can't just like stop everything because this is going on.
Exactly. I heard that in World War One as well. It was like World War One really affected within a several mile radius of the front line.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Cosmo's back, yeah. But everyone else was more or less unaffected. Hey, Cosmo.
Hey.
Welcome back, sir.
There we go.
You got your camera on.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm back in front of my computer.
That's funny because I guess what the left is teaching us though is that if you don't understand your opposition's position, you might accidentally strengthen it. Because what they're doing is they're just throwing a spaghetti of facts or spaghetti of observations, and we already have an answer for it. Like we already know, like, oh, what about Warhammer 40K? Look at these terrible things they have to do to the Xenos, and we'll say like, humanity is sacred. Long live the Emperor.
It's like look at what they're doing to the poor innocent Xenos. And my counterpoint is like, okay, well look at what the Dark Eldar do to their like human slaves. Like feel like we're justified.
We can't risk it. The thing is like there was a track record of humanity working with Xenos from 30K to 40K that determined why 40K humanity behaves the way it does. Is because you cannot trust these Xenos. They might have horrendous powers. They might have horrendous diseases. Who knows? And
I will say that's one of the things that I really like about 40K is that every faction hates each other. Like it's not like, oh, well, there's a coalition or like this group and this
No,
group
there's
can
no
work
order
together.
faction. Yeah.
It's just like, no, everybody hates everybody else and everybody wants to completely kill everybody else. And I think that that actually that's a positive to 40K because it reinforces that this is a zero-sum game. Somebody is going to come out on top eventually, and
it also,
everyone else will either be dead or subjugated.
the problem with the leftist depictions of these dramas is the leftist depictions tend to be in desperate times because that's very dramatic, right? You're going to be at your most fascistic when your
Or
enemy
at the worst,
is
yeah.
at the gates. The problem is that when you have the enemy at the gates and everything is really desperate, it also justifies the horrendous actions the most. And forces, and this is why I'm saying useful mythos. Useful mythos is it forces the reader to go through the moral steps and the context that then finally justifies the actions. When we say like, okay, how many humans are you willing to let die to make peace with the Xenos? And then it finally says like, oh, you know what? The answer is all humans have to die to make peace with the Xenos. Like, obviously that's not the correct answer, or you're a psychopath. So either you are okay with that and you're one of these weird leftist people, these leftoids, or you have to say a number. And when you have to say a number, you then have investment. I was like, okay, I think someone asked me once when I was training to be in the military. I was in college, I was training to be in the military. And it was just like a passing comment of like, well, how many Marines are you willing to let die to take Iraq? And I pretty much said like, how many is it going to take? I was like, how many is it going to take?
They knew what they signed up for.
Yeah, I was like, well, and it's like there is a number there. You have to say there is a number. In other words, what I'm saying, useful mythos force you to pick some place where you decide that between decency and intolerance, right? Like tolerance and intolerance. It forces you to pick a tolerance level. It's like, how many civil? I was like, okay, well, you want to win a war for oil, right? I was like, okay, let's say oil is really short and your family is absolutely destitute. Like you are not getting supplies. You are essentially living on the fact that your chickens are going to be okay and not get a random disease. Okay, because if your chickens die, you're all fucked. Your family's screwed. No eggs, you're not alive. That's the difference. There's no supplies coming. The fuel is no longer there. How many Venezuelans are you willing to kill to make it so your family can like buy shoes?
Yeah, exactly.
And the answer is a shitload of Venezuelans.
Well, we can also if we want to keep talking about like pop culture, you brought up oil. We can extrapolate this into pop culture. Look at the background of Fallout. That's what caused the downfall in 2077 in Fallout. It was a resource war because like pretty much all the oil reserves had dried up except for those in Alaska, and the communist Chinese needed them and we needed them. And so it's like if you pose the question to a like United States like Marine in 2076, like how many Marines would you be willing to sacrifice to make sure these like communists don't get the Alaskan oil?
Yeah,
I'm sure they'd probably say every single one of them as long as we win.
And I was thinking about this earlier. I was thinking about this earlier today on the way back from the massage therapist. Of like, by the way, get massages. If you work in an office, your ass and your neck, everything in between is probably tense. Go get a massage; it'll change your life, and you're probably going to do it once a month.
Everything really in between.
Yeah, everything between your ass and your neck, everything in between. You are tense in ways you probably don't even realize, and it's going to makes your sleep not really good. This is my PSA: is if you have tense muscles, your sleep is going to suffer, and you're not going to realize why.
No, you're right.
I just can't get
comfortable. If you want to talk about like tenseness while you sleep, also hydrate as much as you possibly can. We've all been there. The worst thing that'll ruin a night's sleep, calf muscle cramp.
Oh yeah, you don't want that. Yeah.
No, you need to make sure you're hydrated so you don't get a calf muscle cramp at like 3 a.m. Nobody wants that.
The more you know. There we go. That's our PSA for the day. When you force people to actually say a number, what you're doing, this is a sales technique actually, which is why it rings so true to me. When you tell people to say like, what's a number? Now you have a basis upon which to negotiate. The problem is the leftists keep saying like, look, this extreme situation. Oh my God, you got to fight the bugs. And it's like, oh, isn't this terrible? And you're like, well, actually, there is a certain number of bugs I'm willing to just blow up with nukes to save humanity, or save a single colony, right? Like, what the thing is, the left is trying to induce a moral panic on the right, and all they're doing is actually creating mythological moral quandaries, which force us to reinforce and then become invested in a number of like how much are we willing to do. And that's the thing. That's the goal of all peoples is like what are you willing to die for? And everyone has a different answer to that, right? Some people are just willing to die for nothing. God bless those people. They're psychotic.
I'm willing to die for different things under different circumstances, of course. I mean, it's like, obviously if someone, if I was like, in the, like living in the Middle East, and it was just like, would you die to uphold Christianity? I'd be like, yes. Not even like, there's not even a, I don't even have to think about it. It's like, yes, I would.
Ironically, one of the two things I'm willing to die for is Christianity and money.
I would,
if someone puts a loads of money, I'm going to be willing to like risk my life for shit. And it has to be a risk. It can't be certain. Okay. Like I don't want to be certain. That's psychologically damaging to me. But if it's like, honestly, there's only two things. There's fully spiritual and fully material. Those are the only two things that actually matter to me. Because like money will buy medical stuff for my family if my family has a medical issue. In other words, I guess
I would die for certain political positions as long as personally I felt that the sacrifice would actually be worth it in some special regard. Like it's like a war. Is every American actually ready to like lay down his life for his country? And as an American patriot, I would say yes, I am. I would much rather live, but I will fight like a dog. And if I were to die, then I am to die. But at least I die to patriot.
We'll do this on a Rumble stream sometime. But my price is not my life; it's more or less my morals. I'm willing to do some dirty dirt to win a war if it was like if it came down to it. It was like, yeah, what do you want me to do? I'm not gonna. We're all talking from our backside here. Like none of us are in.
Sure.
Are actually in a war.
None of us have ever been in that situation. But
the thing is, like these leftists' stories force you to ask yourself that question, which then is the opposite of they're trying to persuade you one way, they're actually persuading you the other, right? The author's intent doesn't fucking matter because the author's result is, as we were saying before you got here, Cosmo, we were saying like, what if someone fed you a delicious burger? You're muted, by the way. If someone fed you a delicious burger, it's a great burger, and there's like they tell you, hey, did you know that burger was a satire of burgers, actually? You know that melted cheese? That was there to make fun of you. I was like, actually, that was a really good burger. Thank you very much. I actually really like the burger.
You got me.
Yeah. It's like, no, that burger's there to make like the chef's intent. He made a delicious burger. People are going to eat it. So yeah, we've been dying.
You know what's really funny? You say that you just described the plot of The Menu with Ray Fiennes. Like this food I have put before you is actually to make fun of you. It's to ridicule you. And then he kills them in like food related way. I love that movie, by the way. That's like one of my favorite like horror movies.
Yeah, it's a good movie. You know, the like your theory of literary criticism can't stand, like, if your theory of literary criticism can't stand the author being wrong about their own work, you don't actually have a robust theory of literature.
Yes. And actually, Cosmo, before you got here, I don't know if you were like pre-watching, but I brought, like, we talked about Starship Troopers for a while, and I brought up the reason why, one of the reasons why I disdain Paul Verhoeven as a director is he didn't even bother to actually read and engage with Robert A. Heinlein's book, Starship Troopers. And so he completely misunderstood what that book is supposed to be about. And that's why, like, his criticism and satire that he intends in the movie Starship Troopers falls apart. It's because he didn't even understand what he was trying to satirize.
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying is that, and my thesis statement from that, my little thesis statement here is that if an author creates a work and is ignorant of the work, he runs a great risk of accidentally providing a set of conditions that or just a bunch of objects that then can be reassembled to counter his intention. In other words, he basically gives us an unassembled gun, and then we can assemble it and shoot what was his baby, because he didn't know what he was doing. It's like your ignorance.
Well, even the thing he thought he thought he was doing, he was bad at it because he didn't do it right.
Well, see, it's the ignorance. He doesn't know what a military is. He doesn't.
Well,
He doesn't
it's not even.
understand
It's
the
not even like
military.
he goes beyond military. It's like he doesn't understand like what a society is fundamentally. Like that's why it doesn't
We're
work.
explaining a lot about Europe right now.
Like it's like what he was trying to do. It just shows that he doesn't understand how human beings like work at a social level. Um,
By the
and
way, I'm going to say. Well, I'm going to say this at I'm very derogatory towards Europe, and I've got to talk to some Europeans hopefully this weekend, and be like, somebody could. By the way, if someone's really anti-American and they have reasons for it, I don't mind. Like, oh, I get it. Okay, I get it. You're kind of whatever. Maybe hopefully you don't have delusion syndrome. I hope I don't have European delusion syndrome. But right now,
if you tell me why you don't like us, like specifically, then that just opens up a dialogue because then I can convince you why that's probably not true.
And that's why I want to talk to this European guy to like set me straight. And I'm just going to put it all on the line of like, I feel like Europe right now is about as dysfunctional as India. I put them on they're on the same tier as far as I'm concerned, because like the dysfunction of what makes a good society, as we were talking about before Cosmo, like before you got here, that the Germans decide to put this image, gonna vamp. All right, and bop, here it is. Put this image out to like make fun of Trump. I was like, you misunderstand how Americans think. First off, we're not World War II brained. Second off, you made him look really cool. That's a really shiny flag. It looks great. It's draped on him. He's relaxed.
My theory is like this doesn't look.
Put this instead. Like replace the Statue of Liberty with this. That'd be fucking awesome. By the way, I want to have a modification. I want to have a modification of the Statue of Liberty where she points towards the sea, just to let everybody know
like
exactly
go
what
back.
fuck.
My objection with this Cosmo was like it doesn't even invoke Nazi imagery. It invokes ancient Roman, like this is like ancient like Roman senator.
And as you pointed out, Benign, his arm is relaxed. It's in his pocket apparently. Like he's chill.
Like he's even like and you can see this if you go back and look at like World War II era like Nazi footage, like even Hitler is stiff and crisp when he does like the Sieg Heil.
He's trying so hard. Trump doesn't try hard. Trump is the most casual motherfucker. I was watching him earlier today and he's just making jokes. He made a joke that we named the Abrams tank after Stacey Abrams. He's like, thanks for the name. God damn.
Well, I mean, this speaks to a certain specific kind of Americana, is that America does have an aristocracy. It's based on culture and success, not like land and titles.
As academic agent would say, like make fun of like merit. Like, yes, we're a meritocracy. Suck a dick. It's what we are.
Specifically, if you look into the history of New York City, like in the Gilded Age, like we had an aristocracy. We had like these specific families who like owned and ran everything before they before eventually the time caught up with like their descendants. But it's like if you look into the history of like the Astor family in New York City, like that's actually a very interesting like topic to
that is an interesting. I'm gonna put a note in that. I think that there's so much American mythos. I have a theory here, and I want to know what you guys think. I think America has about 100 years worth of history in 20 years.
Yeah,
we're
depends on which 20 years.
Well, yeah, exactly. But it's like I'm taking averages. I'm trying to just give a notional thing. It's like America has a tremendous amount of history because we have a massive amount of conflict, and and America also doesn't want to create any order from this, really. Like, we don't mind things being disordered. As soon as it stops, like, as soon as the question of, like, what have you done for me lately draws a blank, we're like, fuck it, flip the table.
Yeah, but it's,
like, we're very much not old money. Like, America doesn't care about old money that much. I'm gonna go ahead.
Not really, but I mean, it's like in specific context it does, but it's like it's mostly about like decorum and ability to like do something with what you have and what you know.
If you have
getting results, like that's
let me
what
put it this way:
about.
if you have old money and you don't have any accomplishments in the last 50 years, you're just a museum piece to Americans. Like, they don't give a fuck.
Sure.
Like our top wealthiest and most influential men in America first are not Americans by birth, and are also bastards.
Well,
Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk are both bastards.
I prefer to look at it at a historic context of like, okay, who are the most historic American, or who are the most like successful Americans historically outside of like the modern era, and it's like, what was their life and what did they do? Now, very few of them came from like dynastic families with like lots of money. Most of them were self-made men. That's why we like venerate them and
We love the
respect them, is
self-made man.
because
Rags
like
to
we love a rags to riches story. Like a good example for a lot of Texans is the like Hilton hotels.
Yeah.
The guy who created those was a guy from West Texas named Conrad Hilton, and he came from nothing. He came from less than nothing. He like grew up in like a dirt floor shack, and he created a hotel empire that spans the globe. And he did it within his lifetime. Like you can't be like, oh well, it's the he created it, but it's like the corporation Hilton that did. He did most of it himself. He was the one who got them international in his lifetime. And
this is what Cosmo was talking about in our DMs earlier. Is like we were talking about a board game. I don't want to fully get into the board game. That actually deserves its own stream. Maybe it's like, well, what does this board game teach us about life? Like technological stacks, biological stacks. How do they interact? Sound really fascinating. But the thing is, like in this board game, you have these people that you sort of craft. Right? There's a certain breeding element to it, and you craft it. But sometimes there's a normies that just rise to the occasion and blow you away. This I will give Lord of the Rings credit to, is that the Lord of the Rings also makes it so normies have a massive, not only just massive, but the most important part to play in the story. It's like America has a great tolerance for normies. And I wish that like other countries like the UK, Germany, France, Europe, all these places would allow normies to just rise up. But America is a place where you could be addicted to crack and then create a pillow company and become a like multimillionaire.
Well,
and then become influential in politics. Like
even England loved a working class hero for like the longest time.
Yeah, but as long as they stay working class.
Well, no, like even then, it's just like they liked the Beatles. Like part of their charm was the fact that they came from Liverpool, which was like a
I made a joke a long time ago that the only upward mobility that English people have is if they form a band.
That's a good point. Yeah, or be an actor,
or an actor. Exactly. It's like that. Like, what's the other upward mobility that you have that won't be countermanded?
We forgot the third one. Soccer star.
Star. It depends. It depends on what your definition of upward mobility is. Like, I would say like. Do you have mobility out of your class? Like, well, maybe from like lower to middle potentially, but like to upper in the UK, that's
they have a class
intermarriage.
Intermarriage and lineage and like
Americans think that's gay. Like this whole blood class.
Like here's the thing. Like you can speak derogatorily about it, but like it is a system that we don't understand, and our failure to understand it is not a virtue for us.
Well, we fairly to understand it. Like maybe we don't understand it. Like I think I might understand it. Like, but the thing is, it freezes their society. Well, it makes it less able to adapt. England cannot produce an Elon Musk.
Well, the problem is it already did.
He's already born.
It already did, but they squandered them.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you look back at like the 17th, 19th, 18th century, like, and even the 20th century, they produced fuckloads of them. Like, it's not, like what you're talking about is almost like a more post-labor UK than like historical UK. Because like if you look historical UK, like
I care about now. I only care about right now.
Elon Musk types were like a dime a dozen. So it's like
the adventure capitalist is like what I like to term those guys. Like guys who are willing to take a risk to build something. Is like Britain had scores of that guy. The adventure capitalist.
That's what I'm saying is like right now, like UK like wealth and mobility is basically like Black America. It's like can you do some sort of music, entertainment, or sport? What I was saying is like right now, right? I don't know about the history of the UK or whatever, but if Elon Musk was, I'm talking about Elon Musk, not as an abstract concept, but him as an individual in a different dimension. Imagine there's an Elon Musk that goes to the UK instead of America. It's like, how does he become as powerful as he is now? I was like, I don't see that.
Well, it's strictly because if you go off of like his achievements, which starts with Tesla, he had to come to America for Tesla.
Because Tesla had to come to America to become Tesla.
We are one of the only like America's like one of the only manufacturing like superpowers on the planet that could sustain a bespoke car manufacturer like Tesla. We're the only like we are one of the only ones. Just because we have the most like operating capital, we give the most like wide berth to manufacturers and to like venture capitalists and like all that kind of stuff. It's either if you want to start a car empire, it's either we have the manufacturing capabilities to make that happen, or China does. And obviously, he's not going to China because they'll try to nationalize it.
Yeah,
And
China, you have to be part of the like upper echelons of the Communist Party. That's what I'm saying is like America has always had this bizarre thing where you could come from nothing and then become an empire.
sure.
Like, what was it? I forget who it was. It was a black woman. She was the first woman millionaire, and she also happened to be black. And she made a bunch of like soaps and personal care items.
I don't know.
Fuck, I'll look her up. I think it was Bessie something, but I feel like racist saying that.
I was gonna say, like, if Elon Musk went to England instead of America, Tesla would probably exist in some capacity, but it would exist in the same way that like Rolls-Royce exists, where it's a bespoke manufacturer that costs so much that the average buyer could never even dream of affording one.
Yeah. Here's Madam C.J. Walker. Right?
C.J. Walker. Okay, I know who that is.
Yeah, Madam C.J. Walker. America just is a place where randos can become heroes. Now, there are people that they're great because of breeding. General Patton. Patton is one of my,
Theodore Roosevelt.
Theodore Roosevelt. I don't read a lot. I don't read a lot of books. I've read multiple ones on Patton. I'm sorry, what was that?
I said the Roosevelt family was a historic family of New York, kind of like the Astors were.
Mm-hmm.
And like Trump, I know that Trump's ancestors weren't like rich when they came here, but it's just like Trump is a modern, like he's a modern extension of that like thing that just randomly kept happening in New York, where these like almost these almost regal dynasties would just like pop up in American society, even though they weren't like like the landed gentry of old. It's just like they had so much success and so much money and so much soft social power that they just did that. The Trump family is like that, but like the Astor family, they're not really around anymore. The Roosevelt family, they're not really around anymore. The Trump family's still around.
With that board game that Alex, what was the name of that board game again?
Kingdom Death Monster. That might have an interesting lesson to teach us, that there actually is a yin and yang of elites versus populists. Like the populist sometimes just produces amazing characters just out of the trials, right? Like I remember when I was playing like Red Alert 2, I'd have all my conscripts go up and fight, and then some of my conscripts would all get like 3-star ratings and become like super conscripts, but it was very random like who would get it. You can't predict it. You just send a mass of people against the enemy, and then some of them turn out to be heroes. Whereas you have certain people that are like very expensive that you breed, essentially have teched them up to be your heroes. They're more consistent. But like America is like the German military was pretty famous for having very noble people in it, and they wouldn't even lay down to like teach their enlisted guys how to shoot a rifle. Like the class divide was so huge. It was like their noble class and their populist class just did not work together. That's why I don't like class-based systems. I think they have to.
Well, it lends itself to corruption and like bad military. Like, I mean, I know this is a fiction, but it's like it's a fiction that's based on actual history. It's like if you watch Sharp, like so much of the source of like conflict in Sharp is there's like some highfalutin like officer who's from landed gentry that has like a title or something. He's like, I think we should do this, old boy. And Sharp is like, I think it's a horrible idea. Don't do that.
Well, the funny thing is the UK people understand their system has dysfunction, but they don't in practice actually do anything about it, which is kind of
funny because like the British love, like even historically, they love to parody their ruling class. Like they love to make fun of them because they know they can kind of get away with it. Whereas if you look at a lot of like historic German fiction, like they try to lionize like the old landed gentry, like to make them like the best of us. Like, oh, they're so strong and so
which is funny because the landed gentry. It's funny because we had German prisoners come to America, and they'll see that like some random German farmer has more acreage than like a German noble.
Yeah.
It's like in America, everyone's a lord, like the king of the castle thing of like, you are the king of your household. You own land. You
Well, I
own
think it's
equity.
like I think like
Yeah.
the problem is like
Yeah.
most like German like landed gentry who like became officers, like they were terrible at their jobs and like during World War One, and like the ones who are remembered fondly, some of whom like got positions in like the Nazi military structure, was because they actually knew what they were doing and got results. Like the ones that survived from like the Kaiser like era, they didn't last out because people in Germany were tired of them by the end of World War One because of like how inept they were.
I mean, we're in a big deviation right now, but America is able to sidestep the class struggle by simply giving. Here's my most cynical take. I'm going to be extremely cynical. All right. My most cynical take is that America's like lack of class gives hope to the proletariat to become high class so that they're satiated, that if they work hard enough. And if that illusion ever goes away, and this is, I'm being cynical, if that illusion ever goes away, then we're going to have a shit show in America.
Sure.
Now,
and yeah,
my actual opinion is that like a lot of people can become extremely influential in America based on their merit. And that means that everything about your life is consensual. If you wanted a better life, you could work harder, but you've just chosen not to, and therefore you've consented to having a shittier life, which is fine.
And that's one thing I hate that like modern communists try to do is just like, oh, so you want to allow billionaires to exist because you think you could maybe become one someday. It's like, if there's even a 1% chance that I could become a liquid wealth billionaire, yes, I would support a bunch of bad people who I don't like as billionaires, which there are plenty of, but I would support their existence just because it's like, yeah, maybe I could. Whereas under your system of governance, I never would be able to. So yeah, I want to leave things as they are because as an American, I have a sort of ingrained hope that I could make it. I could make it, and I could become awesome. I could become insanely wealthy and super cool if I just like play my cards right and do the right thing.
Yeah, and to bring it back to like this is like one of the symbols of American mobility is the literal symbol of mobility is that we tend to be the most car owning people on earth. Yeah.
Cars are awesome. Cars are cool. Well, I mean, not right now. They're not as cool as they used to be. Like cars used to be way cooler back in like the '60s. But
we need. All right. So and also Trump did some to talk about Trump a little bit more. Is that Trump did something to deregulate things. I'm expecting things to get real fucking weird in the next few years as the deregulation of the automobile industry continues apace.
To get us back on track, I would like to say I'd like to hear Cosma kind of like talk about a lot of the more like literary. Or not literary, but more sort of like.
Well, we haven't even started Helldivers 2. We've talked about Starship Troopers quite a bit. What is your comments on like our interpretation and what is a proper interpretation as a trained literary analyst?
I mean, it's what's in the text. Like, honestly, you have to let the work speak for itself. And, you know, the leftists go on and on about media literacy, but most of what amounts to their literary criticism in popular circles, when you hear, when you hear media literacy brought up, essentially amounts to either fan fiction, like inserting like, oh, Link is trans, and like, okay, nowhere does this appear in the text. There's no textual justification for it. Like you're just inventing things.
Just fanfic.
There's not even like authorial like intent on the side.
Yeah. There's no supporting textual or extra textual evidence. But I mean, that's also not as far as it goes either. Like usually it will be so proper literary analysis is basically the same as biblical exegesis. They're the same methodology. Which is you read what the text has to say. If it's not in the text, then it's a foreign import, alien to the work itself, and that's not a real analysis of the work. Biblical exegesis is
like what's
reading.
There is there.
Yeah, biblical exegesis includes, reading at multiple levels. Reading for what this says metaphorically, what it says morally, and what it says is like even metamorally and like the trajectory of the universe and so forth. so you can have very, very rich readings, and a lot of leftist media interpretation is like, man fight power, therefore left wing.
Yeah. And we
Like
kind of
it's a
talked
much
we
shallow
talked
read
about
there.
that a little bit in the opening. It's like I paraphrased that one Norm Macdonald joke. It was like, huh, isn't that odd that like every piece of fictional media agrees with me 100% of the time? Isn't that something?
Yeah, Sonic would agree with my politics.
I love that one. Yeah.
Yeah. So media literacy, involves just doing a strict textual reading, and it's a methodology that prevents you from making errors. And if you go into contemporary schools of literary theory, I happen to be a disciple of the new school of criticism, or the Southern agrarian critics. So this is like Robert Penn Warren, Cleanth Brooks type literary criticism. But if you look at major universities and their literature departments, some of the most prevalent disciplines you'll find are psychoanalytic literary theory, Marxist literary criticism, and feminist literary criticism. There's also disciplines like I believe it's new historicism, which is essentially a neo-Marxist derivative, which was Nima Parvini's specialty back when he was a Shakespeare scholar.
Oh, I see. Yep, Nina Parvini is academic agent for those who don't know.
But it's essentially like all of those disciplines are essentially just reading into the text. You take an external ideology, and then you see how that ideology fits onto the text. Versus like read what the work has to say for itself, because
Sure.
a work of imaginative creation, like a work of visual art, or a novel or a movie, is essentially constituting its own world, and what goes on within the story tells you about the moral disposition of that world, what if anything in the real world it is saying in other words, etc.
Like you can't mind. A lot of people like to mind read fiction. It's like,
Yes.
oh, this person really thought this. It's like, well, is it in the text? Well, it's not.
Right.
So therefore, it's open to
I was
debate.
gonna say, can
It's
I cut
not in the
it? Can I
text,
cut
but it's in
for a
my
second?
ideology. Therefore, I have authority to
Yep.
decide that's what it means. And like, if you stop and think about it at all, this is the most foolish way to read. Like, you will never find anything that's not a reflection of the interpretive lens you already have.
Everything
just
reinforces your
foolish.
position. Everything reinforces what your preconceived notions are.
I was gonna say, could I cut in here for just a second? I wanted to say that this kind of brings us back to something you said during the like Warhammer versus Lord of the Rings thing, Alex. Is you thought, like, your personal opinion is that Lord of the Rings is not a good franchise for people to extrapolate their political and like moral extrapolation onto.
It was less useful.
I might disagree from a certain point of view, which I think I properly explained to you, like, why I personally disagree last week. But one thing I would like to say, the way you feel about Lord of the Rings, that's how I feel about Harry Potter. Because I feel like
Harry Potter is an amusement ride. It's like
they read entirely too much into Harry Potter, because if you actually look at how J.K. Rowling wrote Harry Potter, it's not about like political satire. It's literally, she wrote a Agatha Christie style mystery in a school that happens to be for wizards, just so she could give it like that extra little twist, so people would like pay attention to it.
So there's when it comes to Harry Potter, new school of criticism actually doesn't struggle with something that a lot of other literary theories do, which is like the so-called death of the author. Authorial intent is not super important. It is entirely possible for an artist to misunderstand their own work. And I think you'll find people of all sorts of political arms saying this when it suits their purposes, but they don't really essentially have a justification for it. Like, you need to stand the J.K. Rowling Harry Potter problem, where like, oh yeah, if you just take the books as written, like, oh yeah, Dumbledore's gay, oh yeah, wizards like shit on the ground and magic it away,
heard
it's
that.
like,
Yeah, I heard that.
I love that one.
or like,
Or well, we talked about it. We talked about it
essentially
earlier.
she's ex post facto inventing things for which there's no textual evidence.
Sure.
And whose word are you supposed to take, the living author or the text? And the answer is every time the text.
Yeah, and we talked about this earlier with Paul Verhoeven's version of Starship Troopers.
Yeah. Verhoeven's a great example. It not only is it possible for an author to misunderstand their own work, it's also possible for them to just do a poor execution on their intention and create something, something which says the opposite of what they intended to say through error.
Ooh. This is an
Like
interesting example.
if your literary theory doesn't admit of this, then like your literary theory's idiotic.
Let's talk about American Psycho, because a lot of people have latched on to that one. I have an opinion on American Psycho, but everyone's kind of latched onto American Psycho as a thing, and I feel like I'll start off. I think American Psycho has become the movie. Very few people have read the book. The book is very grisly, from what I understand. But the people have latched onto the book as almost like the movie. Sorry, as almost like a fetish. You know what I mean?
Sure,
it's like
but
some symbolic thing, but like an actual just straight up watching of the movie American Psycho is the guy is properly pathetic.
Oh yes, absolutely,
and very bizarre.
I think there's a lot of things that like it flies under the radar for a lot of people, because the whole thing, like the whole point you have to understand about American Psycho is that Patrick Bateman is a perfect extrapolation of a sociopath. He does not understand humanity and other people, and so he has these canned talking points that he brings up and will regurgitate, even though it doesn't matter or mean anything. And there was a tweet I saw yesterday where it's like, this is what leftist discourse is when they try to moral fact to people, is that like they'll just be like, well, first we have to end apartheid for one, then we have to give equal rights to women. And it's like they'll say all this stuff that sounds good on paper, but it's like, you don't believe this. Like we all know, like we all know you don't believe what you're saying. You're just trying to sound good as if there's a camera pointed in your face at every given second.
Cosmo, you said something about this. Is like some people are just like a facsimile of humanity. They just sort of glom on to different aspects of humanity that they observe and attempt to replicate it. There are walking uncanny valleys among us.
Yeah, the term I like for it is algorithmically human.
That's a good one. I like that. I like that. That's good. I'm gonna steal that.
The separation from like, between some people and like how a large language model operates, which is just predict the next word, or like words don't have inherent meaning, just what's the spell that gets me that gets me what I want. There's sort of a total lack of interest in like underlying reality, and like people are not interested in understanding substance or things per se. It's just about the algorithm.
Yes.
So they're indistinguishable from, mind you, this is a biased perspective, what certain people would call human, whether it's like from their epistemic frame point or whatever, but when we think of like free will, creativity, agency, etc., there's some pretty not hard to find, understandings of like what humans have classically understood human to be. Sure. And these people ain't really it.
Well, can I posture something real quick? So sure. We've talked before about the whole concept of literally me. Like we've mentioned that before on the stream, I'm sure. I mean, me, the guy who has a Ryan Gosling drawing as his picture on the stream, could probably tell you about it. But it's just like the whole literally me thing. Like that's it. Like that's kind of a self-deprecating satire in and of itself to guys who do it. And like Patrick Bateman is viewed as a quote unquote literally me character, but it's not because of the murder. I think it's because like people will look at American Psycho as a satire, not on American greed, which is what they intended it as. They intended American Psycho as like is a sort of satire on like Wall Street, that a literal serial killer is a good, stockbroker. But the satire that a lot of guys kind of like latch onto and kind of, it's a positive satire that they resonate with, is it's a man who is completely outside of this world that he finds himself in, trying to conform himself to it to find success. And I think that's a experience that a lot of younger guys can resonate with. Of they view Patrick Bateman as a literally me character, not because he's a vicious like psycho killer who's also a cannibal, but it's because he doesn't belong with these people. Like he has an office job where he goes from 9 a.m. to 5, where he tries to resonate with his coworkers' musical interests that he doesn't really like, or their political social interests that he doesn't really agree with. And he'll just try to create a weird simulacra of like what they want to see and what they expect to hear from like someone who's like them. And I think that's where like satire can like kind of come into this, and like the media literacy evaluation of American Psycho, it evolves over time because people resonate with it in a different way than the time in which it was created. If that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think I follow. Yeah,
like it's a struggle to fit in with people that you fundamentally do not understand.
Sure, but it's like you want to succeed, but it's like like in modern day, to succeed, it means different things. It's like, it's like was it I like sports well enough, as like most guys do, but it's like if my coworkers start talking about a sport that I don't like, I kind of just like tune out a little bit. Like if I like football, I like baseball, but it's like if they start talking about like basketball, like I just kind of like tune out. Like I don't keep up with basketball. I don't care, but it's like I try to keep up with like sports talk with the guys.
The real Chad like Patrick Bateman would just stop giving a shit.
Well, it's not that I want to stop giving a shit. It's just like you want to, like, if you're in like a close knit office group, not like a big corporation, but like a very close in office where it's like you guys go out and get lunch most days, or like whatever like that. It's like you want to have stuff to talk about. But it's like certain things that like you think and like like you don't bring that up to these guys because they don't know. It's like I don't talk politics with my coworkers because they're not as informed as I am. So they don't like I don't want to talk politics with these guys because it's just like you're muddying something that you don't.
Right. You go there once a day. Go there once a day. The coffee machine. You got a picture of an attractive lady, and you just ask your coworkers, dick or no dick, and then you reveal like whether or not it's.
Yeah, exactly. But no, it's like was it like today? Like today we were talking about like today
dollar for no dick.
Today, me and my coworkers, we went to lunch and we were talking about like we were talking about our memories of like playing high school football, because all of us were football guys. Like all of us. Like I played high school football. All my coworkers played high school football. I don't know if you guys played high school football. Maybe you did. Maybe you didn't.
I don't even know the rules of football. I went to a football game once, and the girl I went with had to explain to me what the fuck was going on. I just want to see people run into each other.
It's like I played baseball. Like I like sports. I like sporting ventures.
I kind of understand baseball.
But it's just like, or it's like golf. Like some guys like golf. I'm terrible at golf. I tried to play golf like a couple of times in my life, and I wasn't very good at it.
My only sport is drinking,
and that's fair. Let's do a little sideline. This is men are drinking, but none of us have said what we're drinking.
Oh, that's true. That's true. I'm on my standby. I'm on my basic bitch shit. I think Cosma here has got himself something special.
Was it a cocktail, Cosma?
It's basically a ghetto-tastic, no effort Manhattan.
Okay, what do you got in it? Tell us what's in there. Sometimes I'm feeling ghetto.
Oh, just Manhattan. Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm. wait. All right. So Manhattan though is whiskey and vermouth. Why is it purple?
It's sweet vermouth, which is it's like a red color.
Oh, okay.
It's essentially a Manhattan with like some extra sugar and some lime juice and like cranberry juice poured on top.
By the way, I invent stuff in my dreams. I don't know what you guys do in your dreams, but in my dreams I invent stuff. Okay,
I could tell you about the dream I had last night, but I don't know if you're going to want to hear it.
I'll let you listen to my dream first. Okay, so by the way, let's finish the topic at hand, and we'll talk about our dreams, because no one gives a shit about our dreams, as Scott Adams says. By the way, I have a bunch of video clips I'm going to put together into an intro movie. Handle of Wild Turkey. That's basically what I have.
That's a good one. Yeah, you can't go wrong with Wild Turkey.
I have a bottle of Von Evan Williams because I have a problem.
All right.
There you go. 100 proof and $30. Anyways, it's pretty good. It's all right. It's all right. It's all right. Side tells you, what is it? I'm actually like Patrick Big. Side tells me to it's improper to go on and on about your favorite indie VTuber. It would be very funny. Like,
that's pretty good.
Did you know that it's like, are you aware of the history of Kirsch? It's actually quite a rich and fundamentally fraught with controversy story. It's like oh
Did you
Jesus
see
Christ.
what Pipkin Pippica said last night?
If I could just be a VTuber Patrick Bateman, that would actually be kind of fucking hilarious.
If they made 2025 American Psycho, he would be into VTubers.
Yeah. I was like, I got a raincoat, I got an axe, I'm gonna shuffle on into the stage. It was like, the story of Asmongold is actually very fascinating because he started out as nothing but a independent developer, but over time built an audience based on his candorous approach. It's like I just murdered somebody.
This thing is amazing because everything he's saying about Huey Lewis in the news makes no sense whatsoever if you actually know anything about Huey Lewis in the news. Like it's actually talking about conformity. It's like, what are you talking about?
He's bullshitting. He's bullshitting. Yeah. That's what you do when
he's regurgitating something he heard in like Billboard magazine or something.
Mm-hmm. It would actually be fascinating to look up Billboard magazine from around Huey Lewis, the news releasing that album, and see if that's actually.
He does the same thing with I think in like a later scene he does the same thing with like Whitney Houston. Like everything he says is like also wrong.
Oh, he just doesn't fundamentally understand anything. Right, Helldivers. Helldivers is essentially the same thing as Starship Troopers. Here is that a bunch of Swedes who are a bunch of goddamned Europeans. Bunch of goddamn Europeans don't understand America. So what's happening is Verhoeven did Starship Troopers about fascism, and then Helldivers, the guy who made Helldivers, a bunch of Swedish people, decided to make a game where they adapt the Verhoeven sort of
style
stuff. Yeah, exactly, style to modern day America. By the way, who plays Helldivers 2? Do you play Helldivers 2?
Oh, I love it. Yeah, me and some
of
the guys in the Discord
What's
server.
Your ship's name?
The USS Hammer of Dawn.
USS Fist of Family Values.
That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah, Fist of Family Values. That's very it's fucking threatening. That sounds very abusive.
That's way better. I like
I'm like Daddy's drinking. Daddy's been hell diving. Yeah, well, yeah, and they're trying to make it. And it's the same. The thing is, the reason why we haven't talked about Helldivers is because it's very much similar to Starship Troopers. That you're fighting bugs, bots, and cyborgs now, and some other foreign species called the Illuminate. It's like,
oh yeah, the squids. Yeah.
Like you obviously are on Team Human. Is humanity run very well? Not really. Like not the way we would want it to be. But it is still
actually,
humanity.
I love managed democracy. I think
Well, they pick the candidates and just determine you vote, and then it's the algorithm just changes your vote to whatever it needs to be in your best interests.
Yeah.
Like Claude is just determining who's going to be president, which, by the way, is a feasible thing now. Like I think Helldivers was pretty prescient. Is that like a human will run the empire, but the human that runs the empire is determined by AI.
Oh, I'm actually like slightly in favor of saying, okay, we can have AI, but its only job is government. No more humans are allowed to govern. Just AI takes care of government.
That'd be fascinating, by the way. And by the way, I love how
there's that one movie that came out about I forget what it's called, but it has like Chris Pratt in it. And like the whole concept is like the legal system is handled by an AI.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know offhand.
Yeah, I think it's funny.
If you are going to be, I will say Singapore took the case that if you are going to be multicultural, you cannot have trial by jury, because it becomes a farce of sectarian interests. Like,
Yep.
makes sense if your culture is not cohesive enough.
Correct.
Well, but the problem is like now, like America's trying to like sorry, not America, my bad. The UK is trying to do that now, and it's like I think that's worse because like now it's like you're taking away like
You want to live in a society where you can have trial by jury.
exactly, but it's like they're trying to be like, oh, we're not going to do trial by jury unless it's like a very specific kind of case. It's like that sounds horrible. That sounds awful. It sounds hellish.
Oh,
even.
absolutely.
Yep. The the Helldivers case is pretty much the same as the Starship Troopers case, in that you're put against the wall, and the thing is, Helldivers, it reinforces it through its gameplay model, and then it shows incursions and threats constantly, so you feel like you're constantly under threat and stress.
Well, it's also you live it, just playing a basic like Helldivers against bugs map. It's like this is pretty scary. Like this is pretty hard stuff.
It's rough. Yeah.
It's
absolutely.
like these things are like crazy animals that will like kill us all if we don't like defend ourselves.
Yeah, I stopped playing around when the commando stuff dropped, and the problem is I need to practice my combos, because you have to practice the combos. If you come out
for the strategy, like the stratagems.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so maybe I'll do that because I'm tired of Darktide. I'm done with it. I'm not done with it, but I'm pretty bored with it. I may go into Vermintide too. I heard that's even better, the Darktide, maybe. But like I hate I don't like the grind. I don't like grinding for equipment. I prefer to just be like, send me in there with the stuff I got.
Yeah, I get what you mean, but I mean like the whole thing with Helldivers is I said this earlier in like that thread that I made about like my honest like thoughts about like like the quote unquote like moral implications of Grimdark. It's my problem with it is just like a lot of the times like morals don't matter in these settings. Like, so why are you like obsessing about it? But it's also like one thing I said is like I don't even think Arrowhead cares as much as you do, because do you know what Arrowhead does? They make cosmetic packages for the allegedly quote unquote fascist Helldivers where it makes them look really, really cool all the time. And it's like, hey, look at this new look at this new like like $12.99 cosmetic pack you can make that or you can buy that like makes your Helldiver look like the soldiers from like Genro. It's like, I will buy that. That's fucking cool as hell. Of course I'm going to buy that.
Well, they sort of just titter to each other like on their way to the sodomy hut of like, aha, we are making fun of the funny Americans, because it's like, no, you just provide us new toys. Like, we don't give a shit if you're intent.
The Arrowhead developers trying to say that Helldivers is a condemnation of fascism is the exact same of like Hasbro trying to say that G.I. Joe is a condemnation of the military industrial complex. Like, it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
Like, because G.I. Joe is like cool as hell.
I think the Europeans are actually culturally probably like a century behind, honestly. Like the American culture is so sophisticated in terms of its subversion. It's like, because the problem is, unless you understand a rich culture and you try to satire it, you might accidentally strengthen it, which is what
I've said this before, and people think I'm a conspiracy theorist, but I think like a much wider margin of the European citizenry is communist than we want to like admit that they are. And people's like, oh, you're wrong. I was like, I think I'm right. I think that like the Gramscian proliferation of Europe is way further along than like the American one is. And people try to like give me shit about that, and I was just like, everything they do culturally just shows me that I'm right.
Well, they believe in institutions. That's the fundamental difference between the Europeans and Americans is that Americans are very individualistic. American says, I'm thirsty, I want water. They're going to drill a well. They're going to try to drill a well. A European says, I'm thirsty, I want water. Somebody ought to do something. The state ought to do something. And that's the fundamental difference. Is like, and that's the difference between Americans and Americans too. Like the Democrats will say like somebody ought to do something. Whereas the Republicans will typically say, I'm going to do something.
You can just
Which
say
is
his
also-
name.
which is-
His name is Will Stancil. You can just say it's Will Stancil says somebody should do something.
Yeah,
Well,
well,
I mean,
the thing
this is like a fundamental thing, you know, within advanced societies, is you just have these problems. And I mean, even in less advanced societies, the difference is like their carrying capacity is so fucking low that they often can't indulge these people.
right. They get
you know,
starved out
and
because of scarcity.
right. And it's, you know, like, you know, when you look at the Europeans, what you're seeing is the outcome of, you know, a political process, not necessarily like what the character of the people is. And we actually see like similar outcomes of that process in the United States. Like the separation isn't necessarily all that big.
That's what I'm saying. It's usually the blue states, that's Democrat states, that say like, oh, this is a thing I also see on the right too, is this like collectivist mindset. The right just manifests it by saying like, we want different architecture. Like, oh, our city. Whenever I hear a rightist say like, our cities should be beautiful, look at this, we should have these brick buildings or something. It's like, dude, you're not going to pay for that, and I don't give a fuck. Go found a country estate.
Well, I mean, you're talking about like the whole like Art Deco guys who we need to go back to having like Art Deco stuff, and like they'll post a bunch of like 100-year-old buildings in like New York or Chicago,
Yeah, like
or something. And it's
like
you need to understand these buildings only exist because there was a time in American society when we had so much unbelievable excess wealth that we could just like pay for a building like this. Or it's like if it's a little bit further on, like in the 30s, for like a government building that has like slight Art Deco elements, like they funded this building just so people could have jobs to like build it. It's like this, you want something that we can't produce as of right now.
Yeah, if I try to build a house out of proper brick, versus stick built, which is like with studs, it'd be astronomically expensive.
Yeah. Stonework is not cheap.
Just keep an eye. I've got a battery trickle charging right back there. Whoop, there he is. And my power supply is really old and finicky, so at any moment it could burst into flames. So I just try to check on it once in a while.
Yeah, no, I was gonna try to 3D print something, but like I don't trust my microphone to not like pick up the sound of my 3D printer in the background, so I figured I would wait.
That's what I'm saying is that like there's a certain collectivist element of like somebody else should solve a problem. Whereas I think the proper right will usually try, someone has to just rise up and everyone's just grateful they did it. Like Trump is a good example. It's like he's not institutionally supposed to be doing what he's doing. He wasn't trained for it. There's no call for him to do it. He wasn't groomed for it. He wasn't chosen for it. He kind of just elbowed his way to the buffet and then filled his plate and said, like, I'm the president now.
Well, but like he speaks to the average man of just like, look, we're not gonna mess around anymore. There are some things that are fundamentally wrong, and I would like to fix them. And so, like a lot of us who are like, okay, we're normally used to our politicians like using flowery language and lying to us. So a guy who just says like, look, let's just get down to brass tacks. It's like, we like that. Like we all like that. It's like, you know, it's like let's pretend like all of us like live in the same town. It's like, do you want like the city alderman who like shows up in like a prim and perfect suit and tries to like flower things up, or would you prefer the guy who wears like the flannel shirt and the blue jeans? It's like everything's kind of messed up. We all know that, don't we?
This is
actually you like that guy. You like that guy better.
The funny thing is, like, this does bleed into a video that I'm writing a script for right now, which is maybe like a quarter of the way through. I'm done writing the script. Is that like the merchant class taking over? This is something we talked about a few weeks ago as well. And I went through the
fight wars, which is also
the merchant class pays soldiers, which is better than fighting wars.
Soldiers gotta come from somewhere.
Soldiers come from somewhere, but merchants rule. Who your ruler is matters. And it's not a nation of merchants. This is a nation led by merchants. Very different. Soldiers are conscripted and brought in, or not conscripted, but they're enlisted, equipped, brought in, and fought, trained, led to a process. The age of merchants to me is like funny thing is like Trump is I did some research and did some like reflection, and Trump, I don't know if you realize this, how much he mogs Obama, who is, by the way, Obama is the arch scholar. He is the one who was chosen, and he was the one who was like a legal scholar. And how much he's been destroyed is fascinating. Not as much attention is paid to how much he destroyed the warrior class in terms of McCain. The party of McCain is gone. McCain Republicans gone. Completely destroyed the warrior. The thing is, for the merchants, and I consider myself a merchant, a soldier's job is a job. You are not a class. Your job is to guard the shit. You are paid to guard the shit. Your job is to guard the shit. Any glory that you get, the only warriors are special forces.
No,
who are extraordinarily instrumental and surgical. And
I'm sorry, man. Like we've seen this, like the special forces, like they have their place. I'm not trying to like besmirch those guys, but I feel like those guys get so much credit that they don't
get a lot
really
of credit.
deserve. It's like, well, it's like, look at like the podcast circuit of like quote unquote ex-Navy SEALs. Like a lot of those guys like
I don't give a shit about those guys. Those guys are faggots. The warriors are the ones who took Maduro, Delta Force. Whoever's doing the work. What have you done for me lately? Sean Ryan, go fuck himself. You should. I don't like my whole thing. By the way, you bringing up the SEALs as podcasters is absolutely evidence for why the warrior class is redundant and should be set to the side. The warrior class should shut the fuck up. The warrior class the warrior class is no represent. The warrior class has been a fucking disaster in terms of politics.
Couple of things to consider. One, merchants tend not to understand wars, therefore they tend not to understand the danger of
and
wars.
Is not destiny.
Two, we don't really have much of a warrior class outside of, warrior classes are hard to come by in the developed world, full stop, right?
Correct. They're born they have to be born, bred, and raised like by their fathers to be warriors.
Next, much of what you would call like the warrior class and like special forces, podcasts, etc. If you've interacted with many, not all veterans, but you will certainly see an emergent and recurring personality type of the like ludicrously delusionally self-confident of the people who believe they're elite at everything and stuff like that. That is not like a class consciousness or whatever. It is a deliberately cultivated delusion to make these people better at fighting as soldiers, but they're not warriors.
And you see this in the political commentary towards Epstein of like to me, so Epstein is not interesting as a person to me. Epstein is like whatever he is. The thing is, Epstein to me is a almost like cognito hazard of like, this is, if you cannot understand nuance and if you cannot restrain your fantasies, Epstein is extremely dangerous to you. Like, can you handle the truth?
Well,
the thing is, Epstein is basically like showing that tons of people cannot handle the truth.
My cognito hazard about Jeffrey Epstein is that he was a guy who did the stuff that he did, and
I'm bringing up the age of consent map of Europe.
Well, but the whole thing, like the whole thing about Epstein is like he did the stuff that he did, but here's what you need to understand: the stuff that he did is probably not as remarkable as what you thought it was. He was just the most like public and the most like seen one of his specific class of person. There are probably 5 to, I don't want to say 10, but probably like 5 to 7 other Jeffrey Epsteins like active in Hollywood at this very moment, or New York. Like any place where there's like a lot of emergent like social capital. There's a bunch of him just running around. Jeffrey Epstein, we only know his name because he got caught in his malfeasance. There's plenty of him. There's a bunch of like nouveau riche guys who like facilitate a lot of bad behavior for the the movers and shakers of like the top 1%. There's a bunch of that guy. It's just we don't know his name we know Jeffrey Epstein's name because he got caught. But in a pre Jeffrey Epstein world, it's like that guy was around. He's been around. He will continue to be around. Like, I'm not saying it's right or good or decent or anything, but like that's just the facts. It's like bad men who do what he did, they're there. They're there, and they will continue to always be there. But what I was gonna say is, like, when it comes to like the quote unquote warrior class, like when I say like respect the troops or whatever, it's like that's not an uncommon statement. It's like even if you go back to like ancient Rome, like the basic centurion got like basic respect because he was he was devoting his life to a civil service in a way that most people won't. And I'm not saying like they're heroes, or I mean, some of them are heroes, but it's like they're not automatically heroes. They're not automatically deserving of respect. Some of them are bad people. Like there are plenty of like left-wing weirdos who like join the army just to like so they can go to college or whatever, and like get like some kind of benefit out of the state. But it's like when it comes to like the warrior class, you can't immediately belittle and like just like start dog kicking them, because there are a lot of very patriotic men who actually believe in this country that like join the army or the navy or the marines or whatever because they just believe in this country and they believe in like what we actually stand for. It's like those are the guys who make the difference. And it's like they are the centurions. Like they're doing something that like they devote themselves to something that most of us will never do. Now, granted, there was a time where I thought I would join the military. I didn't because my father dissuaded me after my older brother got injured in the army. But that's not the point. It's the point is like you have to remember that like the guys in like the military is like, yes, they're not like these like grand war heroes like some of like the ancient Romans would have. Like who is the famous Caesar? Was it Augustus? No. Julius. Like Julius Caesar was like a war hero. Like he was a war hero and like he did all this stuff. And it's like I think like nowadays like you would look at like a Delta Force guy or like a Navy SEAL or like a MARSOC kind of guy who would like do this like ridiculous thing and like he get like a Medal of Honor and like maybe that guy would become like a senator someday. But it's just like back in like the old Roman days, like he was like exemplary and he was special and that's different. But it's like you have to remember like the basic centurion matters too. And it's like a lot of those guys actually make up the voter base of a lot of like right wing base because the left wing base hates that kind of guy. They hate the guy that loves and believes in this country who would like devote himself to civil service. Yeah. But it's like I'm not saying that like every single soldier who ever like just joins up is like some kind of like special hero snowflake or whatever. But it's just like a lot of that guy like they deserve like a kind of
America does not give two shits about a veteran of a fallen war. I'm gonna tell you that right now. That's a very harsh thing to hear, but it's gonna get you a beer, and that's about it. That's about it. Maybe a pat on the back. America does not celebrate its veterans the way other empires have celebrated their veterans. Like,
I think a beer on the pat on the back is.
You get the GI Bill.
I think it's pretty good.
I think you get the GI Bill and all that stuff, right? Like, and those are sort of rights that you signed up for. That's just pay. Like our military is mercenary. If you got rid of the GI Bill, would anybody fucking sign up for this shit?
Well, here's the thing about like actual like for real mercenaries.
How many? What's the percentage? Put a line in the sand. I think 80% would not, because the remove all benefits. Back in the day when America first started, you would lose money by joining the army because you're not tending your farm.
I think you would actually. I can't give you an exact figure, but
you get your very best guys, and that would be about it. So, American military, if you just said like we're removing all financial incentive to join the military, you just have the special forces.
Well, I don't think it's that. I think the number. I think the figure is probably bigger than you're assuming. Because military service, even in nations where they did not give any kind of incentive. I mean, America didn't give incentive for like the longest time. They never had a problem like drafting a military. I say drafting. Sorry, they didn't have problem drawing a military presence because military life for a lot of people, that's where you go when you don't have any bridges left to burn.
That's called an incentive. That's called a material incentive.
Well, it's not like I'm not even talking about.
I mean, the observation is trivial. Like, yeah, people don't do anything without incentives. Like, fucking duh.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like,
either it's substantive or trivial, and
That's my point still stands, though.
observing, like it's where you go when you have nowhere else to go is like, well, that's an incentive.
well, but
then,
you said
then
remove
the
like the
insight stops being meaningful. Like it's no longer distinguishing anything. It's just observing the trend.
That's what I'm saying. It's like it's a stochastic thing based on the economic conditions of your people.
The Romans weren't any different.
The point I'm saying, though,
was a job. It was just doing a job.
Doing a job for 10 to 20 years, but yeah.
Well, yes, but like you have to remember, like before the post, even before like the
Centurion
World War II
had
GI,
honor attached to it. Centurion had rights attached to it.
Well, people the war heroes before like even World War One, like they still got like honors. Like you have to remember, like the
no, you said like Centurion. Let's talk about Centurions. Do Centurions have rights above normal? But do Centurions become citizens by becoming Centurions? Like I don't know that much about Centurions.
I don't think so.
They have eliminated rights above citizens.
If I recall correctly, you had to own property in Rome to like actually.
Is it a fast track towards citizenship?
I mean, possibly. It depends.
What I'm saying is that the United States is very much a mercenary place, in that the material benefits govern your social status.
Yes, but I think I'm trying to like agree with you in a roundabout way, because like one of the things I'm trying to bring up is like you said like remove the 9/11 GI Bill, like see how many like guys join up. It's like you have to remember, it's like even before we had like World War II GI, like plenty of guys were always in the military because it was something that was just that's another job. It's just like it had a civil service thing attached to it because you were putting your life on the line. Like the Rough Riders are like one of the most celebrated people in all of history, and they were just cowboys. They were cowboys, and some of them were probably even outlaws because they would just join up to like try to like, I'm going to change my name.
Wasn't that Roosevelt like also assembled his own unit?
Correct.
That's they had volunteers.
That's how things were done.
You could have been you could have been like a cavalryman.
The history of American militarism is actually fascinating because American military used to not have a standing army. It was only after the Spanish-American War that we had a standing army. Before that, you would as a rich, let's say you're a rich man, right? You'd assemble your own regiment, and the number of people that and that means training, firearms, uniform, rations, all that stuff off your back. You're paying for it. You're an American rich person. You're doing it. It'd be like if Elon Musk raided like 5 divisions, and that would determine your rank. As far as my understanding is that like so our military was actually extremely mercantile, and that it was you as a citizen who has landed and has money would then essentially raise an army and then dedicate it to the United States to be under the auspices of Congress. And that would give you military rank. So you're essentially buying rank.
You can paint that as mercantile, but like that was often the case in the Middle Ages as well.
But like getting back to like the propaganda
mercantile,
kind of thing we're talking about, it's just like the Rough Riders are actually a pretty good like regiment to like use for that, because yes, Roosevelt like had his pick, but there were other cavalrymen who were at Cuba who weren't like specifically in his regiment. They could be called "quote unquote" Rough Riders. But like the whole thing is like they promoted is like, come to us, like please join up, because like they use the Rough Riders as like propaganda material, as cowboys in uniform. Like that's literally what they were called, like in propaganda materials. And it's like, do you know how to do it? Like nothing but ride a horse and shoot a gun? Congratulations, you just joined the cavalry.
What I'm saying is that like our military, as I had my wit Nick Fuentes is saying, like our military this is a very controversial thing for me to say and for me to believe. Our military is fundamentally mercenary because it's not based on sentiment. Because sentiment would mean that you would take an economic downfall to join the military. Imagine that you would lose money and you would destroy your life by joining the military. That's not what happens. Usually the military is used to transform.
Wartime,
usually the military is used to build your life up. So like the military is not considered by the way, I'm sorry to like bring up my own past. During college, I enlisted in the United States Marine Corps. I was rejected for medical reasons. I was throwing away my life. That is extremely unusual. I already had a full ride. and I decided I wanted to like fight the war on terror because Muslims are an impossibly evil force. That is not normal. No one else was there doing that. Everybody else who was there at the MEPS depot for medical like processing was there because they were a gangbanger, or because they have tremendous debts, or because they're like their father beat them and they're so fucked up they have nowhere else to go. I was
I wanted to. Well, I
engineer,
wanted to, but like it was like that.
but
I wanted to
like,
because I believed that. But the problem is, my father had to basically beg me to not do that because I was actually like I was actually a true believer.
You listen to Johnny Rico's father. That's fine.
Well, no,
But
the
it's still,
problem
it's
is
still
like
a financial
the
decision.
problem is
Ironically, I'm the one who made a not financial decision and was willing to throw away my career. A piss test was what caused me to not go in there.
I was
Because
I was prepared to not go to college to do it. The problem was my father had to basically beg me to do it because I wanted to do it for ideological reasons, whereas my older brother had to do it for financial reasons. And he ended up like getting hurt in action in the army, and now he's in a wheelchair. And so like my old man had to basically be like, I do not want you to end up like your older brother. Please do not do this.
I don't understand what your point is.
Well, my point is like you're trying to talk about like ideology. Like I wanted to join up for ideological reasons.
You wanted to, but you just chose not to. You chose to listen to your father because of something material bad happened to your brother. My brother,
I wasn't scared about like I wasn't scared about that happening to me.
I would have still signed up to do it. It's like that's what I'm saying is like as Americans we make material decisions. Sorry.
It's not all one way. Like you can pick a case, but like you can't really extrapolate it to all people. Like there are still like, what one could call the vanishing remains of a warrior class. And you're talking like your Pattons and your MacArthurs. Like it's in the family to do this,
Sure,
as tradition is know-how. And the fact that look, the fact of the matter is there are people that join for patriotic reasons, and the fact that you get paid in a modern volunteer army is not proof that those people don't.
No, it's not the fact. It's not the fact that you get paid. It's the fact that it is actually a key to another like lifestyle. But also, like to say this, like our heroes, Patton and MacArthur. Like Patton did not survive. Maybe he could have become president. Eisenhower became president. We don't. That's what I'm saying. Is like we don't conflate political. We don't conflate political office with veterancy as much as we could, right? Like it's not a key to political office. It's not even a key to citizenship. But for us, veterancy is not like some magical key to like, oh, you're a better citizen, you're a better person. It depends on what you did. Like no one actually. I wonder how many people actually know that J.D. Vance was ever in the Marine Corps. Because he barely talks about it, he barely mentions it.
But he tells people he was. Like, he's not ashamed of it.
Yeah, but it's not like, no, he tells people he was, but like, how many percentage of people actually know that?
But I think I think the countersea to that is I don't think a lot of people who are veterans like expect something out of it. It's something that they are proud of, and like
I think a lot of veterans expect something out of it.
Well,
I think every veteran
hang on.
They expect education, health. What veteran would join if they didn't get like VA and GI Bill benefits?
That's not what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying though. That's where this is like. I feel like we're almost arguing in circles because we can bring up the counterfactual, but the response seems to be like. The response seems to be, well, the existence of remuneration disproves your theory.
My question is, who would join without that?
Well, I was gonna
you're saying, all right, so you're saying that like if there was no payola to the American veterancy, right? And I'm saying like, okay, yeah, if there wasn't a payola to the veterancy, how many would be there? And I'm like, most of the people I know are there for the GI Bill or to transcend their lifestyle to something better. Even like I was enlisting so I could get discipline and training.
This is true of like almost any avenue of work, though.
I was gonna say this is where we're talking.
Nobody drives or almost nobody drives rails for like.
Well, it's not sacred. It's just a job then.
Well, this is where we're talking past.
It's just a job.
This is where we're talking past each other because I'm not talking about the expectancy of benefits that you were offered.
You expect to die.
Well, hang on a second. It's like you're talking about like the expectancy of benefits that you were offered up front as part of your term of service. What I'm talking about is there are guys who like, yes, they take it for they take it for the benefits. But if you look at the people who say like, yes, I'm a veteran and I think X, Y, and Z, there is a certain difference between guys who will say, well, it's just like, I believe something that is antithetical to like the rights of veterans, but you need to respect me because I am a veteran. It's like, but then you look at it, it's like you weren't an infantryman. You were like a guy who like all you did was like sit in your recruiter's office in the AC and be like, yeah, like this is my
By the way, this is my experience when talking with actual veterans is they tend to give me a number. Thank you, by the way, for I had my way with Nick Fuentes. For the love of God, you gave me a number, about half. Like it's like in other words, being in the military is like having a really shitty job. Whether you're a potash miner in Canada or you're like a garbage man in Miami, Florida. Like good Lord knows what hot garbage comes out of Miami. But it's like you have a shitty job and you're expecting some compensation. That's what I'm saying. Is America is a very transactional place. My entire point is just this. Is that we are very much a transactional place, and being a veteran does not convey you a special elevation to your citizenship that is like held sacred. That's all I'm saying. It's not sacred. And Trump, by the way, completely undermined McCain's veterancy and even being captured. Like, by the way, like Trump, like joking around about McCain being captured was like, well, I prefer my veterans who aren't captured.
Well, but the problem with McCain is
the
reason why Trump was making fun of him at the time is because Trump, like it's like as much as I personally disagree with Razor Fist makes a great point about John McCain is that John McCain's a traitor to like other veterans because he was a guy who got like. He got tortured like near to death in a communist death camp, and then like he just like tried to be the principled loser that always agreed with the left that hated veterans. So it's like that's why John McCain deserves to be like made fun of. It's like he's betraying his background as a veteran to like turn around and attack other people. It's like, and that's what I'm trying to say is like. A lot of veterans are right wing because they know that the right wing establishment will take care of them through the GI Bill. But the ones who are just like, it's just like, well, you know, I was a proud Air Force AC repairman, and I say that Kamala Harris is the future of this union. It's like you're just being a propaganda mouthpiece, and we're back to the topic at hand. It's a propaganda thing. It's like you're not actually saying what you believe. You're saying what you're like paid to say. And it's like a lot of veterans through their benefits, they endorse the right wing because they believe it. They lived it, they received it, and they believe it. They were returned on their promise, so they want to say, I believe in these people because I was given what I was promised. Like the deal was honored. Whereas on the left wing veterans are almost always traitors because they have to be paid extra on the backside to betray what they actually promised to uphold.
I think there's like I think there's a simple way to say, I think what all of us are sort of driving at, but like talking around is, social class, rank and position, and like, even to a large extent, like economic outcomes are no guarantor of virtue. It's that simple. Like,
of course.
Yeah, exactly. Like status and virtue. Like if you had to, that's why I like that's why I love useful mythos, because they force you to choose. So I'm going to force you to choose. Who's the guy who allegedly killed Osama bin Laden?
He's one of the SEAL Team 6 guys. I don't know his name.
Yeah, I forget his name. It was like O'Brien something. I forget. I'm sorry.
We'll just call him O'Brien. Like just call him O'Brien for the sake of
O'Brien. Like, okay, you got O'Brien or you got Elon Musk. Which one do you want to choose? It's like, I'm choosing Elon Musk. Fuck O'Brien.
Sure.
Like O'Brien's like dude on Twitter. It's like, who gives a shit? He's on a podcast. He's on a podcast. Essentially, what's like the veterans don't have these arch veterans don't have the gravitas. What they're supposed. The more they talk, the less they are valuable. They're like celebrities. That's what. Unfortunately, like veterans are essentially degenerated to the celebrity class. One of the compliments I heard about Delta Force But I'll finish real quick. One of the compliments I heard about Delta Force is that none of them have a fucking podcast because it's a net negative to their reputation. Like Sean Ryan is over here blaming Jews about shit. It's like, what's going on? I'm done with. I don't give a shit what veterans think about anything. I care more about what Mike Lindell, a business owner, a successful business owner, thinks than someone who like fought in Fallujah. Honestly.
Have you ever seen that? Have you ever seen that Photoshop of the most famous Delta Force guy, Mike Venning? Do you know who Mike?
Yeah,
Venning
Venning's
is?
cool. Venning's a
Yeah. Have you ever seen that Photoshop of like someone photoshopped us like a sign in Mike Venning's hand, just saying like, "All I'm saying is give war a chance." Have you ever seen that?
I don't know if Venning would agree with that.
I think Venning would agree with that because it's good. Like it's good for what he wants. He wants America to just dominate everyone. Like that's what I think Mike Venning actually thinks.
I think Mike Venning cares about breast cancer.
If you look at Mike Venning's face, like that's a man who like he loves America and he wants America to dominate everything else in its foresight.
I mean, I'm speaking for the Barbie. No, it was a diabetes. It was a Barbie that had diabetes.
Was there really was that really a thing?
There's a Barbie with diabetes. He was pushing that. He was like, by the way, most proper warriors are like very much enamored by peace. By the way, like warrior as a discipline is something what we need. Like even a merchant understands that we need to have like a proper warrior class is a little bit like having an R&D class. It's like they don't produce anything. They're not useful necessarily, but when they are, they're life changing.
They have to do something in value of like the greater society. And
I don't know what T1D is, Doodler. I don't know diabetes. By the way, I should have diabetes. I
keep bringing up ancient Rome, but like ancient Rome would keep like war heroes around to like regale people. Like
this is what I'm talking about. Like war heroes back in the day used to actually have social status.
It wasn't even like social status. It was basically like an extra job description where it's like, hey, we want you to come to the party and like tell the senators about like that thing you did like to the Pictish. And it's like, I'll be there. Give me my salary. I'll do it.
Dude, if you look at American history though, even like John Basilone and stuff, it's like this guy was a marketing tool. And that's what we do. That's what we do with our veterans. They're fucking marketing tools like Black Rifle Coffee and some bullshit. I'm not saying I approve of this society we live in. Everyone thinks like, oh, Alex, this is how you feel. This is how you feel about shit. It's like I'm getting shit from like Luna and everybody else. Like this is how you. I'm just making observations. I don't actually feel this way. I really like
those guys are capitalizing on something.
Like we use them to sell sugar and cigarettes. That's what America does with veterans. We use them to sell fucking cartoons. We use them to like try and drive the numbers up when we want numbers. In other words, what I'm saying is like we don't view veterans as sacred.
Like doing it in wartime, like to drive up like enlistment is different than like trying to have them like sell a product. Like they never had like John Basilone or like Dory Miller like pitching
selling signatures at a convention.
Yeah, they weren't pitching like Coca-Cola or like Lucky Strike cigarettes. It was like hey, look,
this podcast is brought to you by Element.
But it's that's the problem though. It's just like those guys actually. It's not like Matt Best, who's like a former like Army Ranger. I think he was I don't think he was Delta. I think he was an Army Ranger. But it's like he was like trying to sell you coffee, and it's like I fell for it. Like I thought this was like I was like okay, like yeah, this is like it's like it's a bunch of veterans like got together and then like they started like a coffee roasters. I think that's pretty cool. And I found out later that like it was all like horse shit and like the guy who's like their CEO, like Evan Hafer, is actually like a sexual degenerate.
I'm not trying to,
and I was like, well, okay, like screw that. Like I don't care anymore.
I'm not trying to say that America is like mercantile because it wants to be, because it's sold, wants to be, because it's genetically predisposed or spiritually predisposed. It just seems to be the way that it is. But it's like to us, veterans are essentially just a marketing tool. And for us, like to become a veteran, it requires a tremendous amount of material, just like sales techniques and marketing. Like when you were saying earlier about propaganda, I was like, yeah, exactly. We trick young people to join the military. There's no special elevated citizenship level though to them, other than the fact that they have marketing value. Like
I think in the old-fashioned way of thinking, I think a lot more people in like the old wars would have been propagandistic more than you might think. But the problem was like there wasn't a way for them to do so. It's like, you know, like a lot of these like military like veterans from like World War II, and this comes from like secondhand stories from my grandfather.
yeah.
But there were a lot of guys who would like go to the VFW and it'd be like, you know, it's like there I was, and you know, this specific quadrant of this specific place, and I was like, you know, the Nazis were there, and I did this and that. And it's like that guy was like always around, like willing to sell his story for like any, you know, any price, any beer, any cigarette. He's like that, you know, here's the time I fought against
That's
these,
what I'm saying.
these
Like,
gaps.
if I were in America, let's say I'm the emperor of America, like to me, because I'm a proper merchant, I understand like veteran, like war as a place, war as a product. It's like you'd think you'd have like almost a Mason's retirement home, the Freemasons retirement home thing for veterans. Of like, once you're a veteran, you just don't have to worry about anything. Like you don't have to sell your stories for cigarettes, but you get to stay at the beer hall where, and I will allow young men to go there. I will reduce the drinking age by 2 years at the drinking hall, so long as veterans are there to continue telling stories to young men to get them to join. Like that would actually make a lot of sense. But it's like our nation is very odd. What I'm saying is like America as a nation is very odd. I think I don't know, maybe Rome had a very different way of thinking, but like to most civilizations would have elevated rights for veterans. And I'm just saying that what we have is what we have, and it's been working fairly well. And maybe it's working better that we don't give veterans quite as much privileges as they did in Rome. Like we don't have land privileges.
Well,
before in Rome, it's like if you're a legionnaire, you'd have land, and it became this weird feedback loop of we must continue taking more territory to give to our legions, who continue to grow.
They didn't promise legionnaires property. They promised them a salary. Like I mean, literally, they paid them in salt. Like they promised them a paycheck. It's just like you had to like prove yourself and elevate yourself into the high, like the officers hierarchy. Like you would have to like actually like become a war hero to like attain a certain social status to like get like stuff like that. But like the average soldier was like they were just given their wages and like that was it. And it's like now granted their wages were also
specifically given plunder rights.
Yeah, and like you can get plunder rights. I mean, like, and even like you can elevate that past like ancient Rome. Like even like during the Napoleonic Wars, they gave non-commissioned officers in the British Army like plunder rights, and like a lot of them became wealthy and became landed gentry because they just like through their various conquests of
we don't have plunder rights in the American military.
Like, but like that's the point. Is just like it's if you prove yourself, that's where you get the benefits. It's to just do what you do. It's like you get the salary and you get the basic benefits, and like that's what you get. Like that's what you sign up for. It's like they didn't like promise anything to the Roman legionnaires when like you said I want to be a legionnaire. Like they didn't promise you anything you weren't going to get. It's like this is what you are owed. This is what you will get if you fulfill your term of service.
It appears that, according to Grok, yes, ancient Rome did promise land to average legionnaires and a reward for their service. Particularly following military reforms in the late Republic and continuing in the Empire, the practice became formalized in 107 BC under 107 BC. Thank you for not doing BCE. Under Gaius Marius, who shifted recruitment and property-owning citizens to offering land grants upon retirement to motivate loyalty. Yeah, like Rome promised.
Okay, I guess I was wrong. I thought that was only for like the upper echelons of officer class. They got
not only
like
were you wrong. We don't grant land. We don't we don't give plunder. We don't give spoils. I've got a picture of. Let me put a picture up. Oh my God, where's my bookmarks?
Okay, I guess I was wrong. I thought only like upper echelon like officers got like guaranteed.
This motherfucking Marine does not own like Saddam Hussein's palace right now.
Oh sure, okay? But like that's different. Like it's
not different. He conquered it. He should have it, right? Well, that's what like, a warrior class society would do.
Plunder comes from like stealing some old lady's like jewelry bag or.
You're bullshitting me right now. You're bullshitting.
No, it's like plunder rights comes from like
draw the line. Draw the line. How much? Where is the difference? Split the difference.
Well, it's like you can't take a house if you don't own the territory. Well, you can take
What do you do in the territory? You
you
shoot all
can
the
take
people that are
what's
on it.
in
They
that.
were
Like
on
you
it.
can take what's in. Like you can
This
plunder.
guy
what's
owns the
in
fuck out of
house.
this rail right now. What is he doing? He's doing 6 smoking
But
style
like,
right now.
okay,
Triple
well,
S crank.
what if he was like,
I'm
what if there
saying.
was like a picture, like, what if like there was a picture of this guy like emptying like Mrs. Saddam's like jewelry chest into like a bag, like that's plunder.
He'd
Like
be
he
court-martialed
can't
under
take
the
the whole
American
house.
military.
Like you can't take the whole house if they don't own the territory.
Okay, what if he took the jewelry? Like you can't do that. You can't
Well,
do
if
plunder.
they
That's what
guaranteed
I'm
him
saying is,
plunder,
like, you
he
don't get
could.
war rights. Like the amount of rights that our American military gets is a lot less than it was in.
Okay, but like, okay, I'm sorry. We're talking about like modern day. So I thought you were still talking about like what,
correct.
like, the
Correct.
Roman-
I'm saying the modern day is very much a merchant-led empire. Like we don't
like,
just
but the
allow
problem with
warriors to
like
just
the
do what
problem
they
with like
want.
modern day mercenaries is like they run like a business. Mercenaries
Yeah, yeah.
they have
yes.
firms.
Yes, they do.
They're not called Blackwater anymore. Like what are they called now? But they're mercenary firms that I mean I say that like before a certain time in American history we had mercenary firms on American soil too, like the Pinkertons or the Baldwin Felts Agency. But I mean they're still they're still there now. It's just like they operate differently than soldiers do because they have like backers. They have shareholders that they have to like report to. So it's like war is different.
War is mercantile, one would say.
I mean, everything is mercantile.
You guys are trying to like fight
we
me on
live
this.
in
I
a
don't
capitalist
understand
world. Everything is
I
mercantile.
don't understand. Like America just has very mercantile rules for how it conducts war, worship, and like all the stuff. Everything about America is very mercantile. I don't understand why that's controversial. That's my point. That's all my point.
It's not controversial. I think I just misunderstood your personal appellation of veterans, and like that's probably on me because I think
Our
I
veterans are very
misunderstood.
mercantile. They want benefits.
Well, sure, but like that doesn't mean
enough.
that doesn't mean there's like a moralistic judgment against them unless they specifically tried to wield it in like government.
Right. That's kind of my issue here is like, essentially saying like, well, they have, they like look how spiritually bankrupt, people who are warriors are, essentially because they do it for some sort of remuneration and make a living. Therefore they're morally bankrupt for being merchants, but the merchants are, morally superior through honesty. Like I just don't understand what the point is in
Political power.
Well, I'll take I guess I'll take the blame. I think I started this by disagreeing where I probably shouldn't have because I misunderstood. So that's
all warriors are doing it for material. All warriors want spoil, right? What I'm saying is it doesn't give you explicit advantages in the political system of America.
Everyone does that. It's just a character. It's just a character of like human nature and being a material, like embodied being. Like that's it.
Everyone needs a paycheck.
Well, that's what I'm saying is this: does the state elevate what? That's the difference. Like that's the reason why, like in ancient Japan, it was the warrior class, the samurai class, right? Then the peasant, then the merchant. The merchant was the lowest of the low, right?
The samurai class was a dynastic thing. Like it was
as most warriors are.
If you were outside of like the dynastic like family of being a warrior, you could become a samurai. But it was very, very difficult because all
I'm saying is that like the United States is extremely materialistic and very much meritocratic, which precludes, and with technology, modern technology being what it is, there isn't really a warrior class to speak of. There are some people that will distinguish themselves in war, but it doesn't seem to get them any extra spoils. John Basilone, Medal of Honor winner, hero of Guadalcanal, did not get a 100-acre estate as a reward for his duty. He got the same reward as someone of his same rank that just like served like in the chow hall.
Well, he died.
He died. Yeah, he died. And he got nothing. And his family got nothing more.
I mean, he would have had a house. He could have gotten like a home loan.
Same for it's per rank.
Yeah, it's like whatever. Like I'm not super
That's
familiar
what I'm
on
saying is
what
like America does not
pre-9/11
have
GI
this war.
was, but it's like
People think that America has this warrior class mindset, and it from the evidence, it just does not. It's very much a compensated positional thing, right?
like that's America though. We all expect to get something for what we
it's
do.
America.
But it's like
That's
that's
right. My point.
that's the honor proposition. Is like we expect that people will treat us.
It's
with,
what I'm
like,
saying is that like veterancy is just a job. Can we agree on that?
I mean,
Like-
yes, but it's like that's like unfortunately that's like it's like being in the police. It's like it's a job that's
Right.
necessary. Where it's like society, like I'm a salesman. I'm a sales. I'm a
You're going to get a
salesman.
beer and a pat on the back, and that's about it.
Well, I mean, like it goes further than that. It's like I'm a salesman. Society could exist perfectly fine without like my specific kind of salesman. If my job became completely obsolete tomorrow, society could survive. But it's like when it comes to like having an army or having police, or something like that, like to impose like societal order, it's like those guys will always be necessary. Always. It's like
So
I could be replaced. Those guys cannot be replaced. I mean, I guess you could argue like, oh well, yes, with like mercenaries they could be replaced.
You are an essential, like this whole like non-essential worker thing from COVID is bullshit. All workers are essential, even though they might not think they're important. Like for I guess I don't know why this is controversial. What I'm saying is that America treats its military like another job. All jobs are essential. Like firemen are a bunch of useless faggots sitting in a fire station until there's a fire. A bunch of warriors are a bunch of useless people until there's a war. It is what it is. A bunch of salesmen are a bunch of useless salesmen until there's a buyer. It is what, like conditionally, like the conditional nature of your employment does not matter. There's always conditions. What I'm saying is like warriors are not treated as separate citizens. My God, we've been going on this for
I don't think that anybody.
I'm just saying that
I don't know that
soldiers
that
do
was
not
ever
have an
asserted
elevated.
that they weren't treated that way.
Say what?
I forgive me if I missed this, but I did not I didn't catch any part of the conversation where the opposite was asserted.
Yeah, well, why are you guys arguing with me then? I just said something non-controversial, and then I said like soldier is just another job. It's a job for pay. That's all it is. It's a mercantile empire.
I have something for this. I just posted a YouTube video. I feel like we've just been doing this, even though we're not disagreeing. We're agreeing in like different.
I think you guys are like kind of doing like the lady thing where it's like something gives you the ick and you just want to like talk around. It's like
it's not about the ick. It's just like
another
I just want to
it's
add
just
some
another fucking job.
qualifiers.
Like you get all your legs blown off. It's like, well, that sucks. Like if you got your legs blown off as a postman, it'd be the same thing. Now the likelihood is slightly less.
Yeah, I posted like a video that kind of explains like what we've been doing for the last like hour.
Sure. I'm sorry. I'm like, that's what I'm saying is like that's my entire point. I don't know why we like loop back on this for so long. It's like America does not consider veterans to be some elevated citizenship position. It is a job. Yes, I want to fucking move on. Oh my God. My position hasn't changed. We've been talking about Romans and bullshit for like an hour now. How did this happen? What I'm saying is like, okay, so back for Helldivers 2. It was like for all this fiction about Helldivers 2 is like their position is extremely crucial at that moment, right? Like one thing about Helldivers 2 is like, see, like very few people are going in with very little equipment and doing a lot of damage to someone who's obviously on the wrong side. Yeah. I was like combative. I apologize if that's true. I was like review it. Yeah. Anyways.
Well, no, I know what it was. It was just, it's like you're very like specific in like your pointed criticism of like what actual veteranship is. And I'm not trying to say you're wrong. I was never trying to say that. It's just like I have a slightly different perspective of like what it means to be a veteran.
My entire
it's not mutually exclusive. It's just I think we were misunderstanding what each other was saying. That's the problem. Is like we were just talking past each other and it just kept happening. So
Well,
I think that's what it was.
Well, the thing about it is, like, I don't like this like childhood bullshit that like a lot of Western culture does, where it's they think that stuff is sacred when it's not. They just make gods out of whole cloth, out of nothing. I was like, no, my entire point was that people would not join the military if they didn't have the GI Bill and housing assistance. Those are compensatory materialistic things. That's all it is. That was my point.
But like it depends. My whole point is like it depends on what is the situation in society. It's like if there were no benefits, like, well, yes, we still need to have an army, and like if you remove like the restrictions that we imposed post World War II, it's like we would go back to like Rough Riders, where it's like I don't have anywhere else to go. Yeah, I'll join the army.
The basic thing of here is their men are being paid to fight.
Yes, no, they are.
That's all I'm saying. That's my point. We'll move on from there.
Yeah, but like a man should be paid like for everything he does. Like
this mythos of like the great American sentiment warrior is bullshit. I think we don't have a lot of sentimental warriors. Like we have a few, but it's not enough to make any. It's you will send John Basilone alone in Iwo Jima, he just gets blown up. For every great warrior who's there on sentiment, you need like 1,000 who are there for pay. That's my point. That's my point. That's all they're for. That's what I'm saying is like, and maybe that was the myth of all nations. The myth of all nations is that most people don't fight for sentiment. Most people fight for pay.
Well, they fight for what they have to, but what elevates them is when they go out of their way to do what is nationalistic and for the national good.
I mean, what's your point there? Because I think you will in fact find that I think you will in fact find that history is replete with people fighting for like sentimental reasons or because they feel heavily invested in their civilization, even in a way that's like disproportionate to what they're remunerated. Like I don't understand what the point is that you are trying to make here.
I think the point
it doesn't make sense. One, because it seems to be like readily demonstrable to be like, okay, but we can find counter examples to this, and then like, well, no true Scotsman, blah blah blah. Like
the thing about it is like I think that sentiment ended at the United States Civil War for Americans.
I don't think so.
No. I mean, obviously not. I mean, look at
right.
I mean, who's a football player who had his NFL contract and like threw it away, joined the Marines, and, got killed by friendly.
No, I know who you're talking about because they
Tim something shit.
Like,
you find me one example of a man with sentiment, and there's like thousands or 10,000 people who are there for pay. Like a single warrior does not make a war.
Yeah, but the thing is like, the thing is you're like, yes, both are kind of true at once, but you're taking one side of the particular and saying this is the general, and like I don't understand what the point is. Like where is this going? Because it seems to be very vehemently arguing something which is bizarre and one-sided.
I'm saying, well,
it seems more like special pleading than it does like making any particular like philosophically pointed argument. And my
philosophically pointed argument is that our civilization as Americans is not built on veterancy, like in terms of citizenship and value of citizenship.
Yeah, obviously, patently, obviously.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's all my point is. We fight for pay. That's all we do. There's some people that fight for sentiment. That's great for them. If Pat Tillman knew he was going to die, if Pat Tillman knew he was going to die, would he fight still? Maybe he would. Maybe he wouldn't. I don't know. The thing is, we don't have special positions for veterans in our governments, in our military. And we don't even, and with the advent of Donald Trump, especially like denigrating John McCain's military service, which is symbolic more than factual.
But that's the thing is we talk about that because he made fun of John McCain because John McCain tried to make political capital of his like Vietnam
Everything-
victimhood,
Exactly.
where it's
Exactly.
like
Making
like
political capital out of your
Trump goes
veterancy.
to like Trump goes to like before like the basic troops all the time to like entertain them, and they do it back, and he loves it. He thinks it's great. Like,
Well, what Donald Trump is kind of a forced decision for the American people. Is like, do you care about this or that? And the American people pretty much chose that we don't care about someone's established military record in terms of having political power.
it's
That's
like
my
being
point.
a cop. Well, like that's my point. It's like being a cop. It's like, do we like think that every cop is a good guy just because it's a cop? No, but it's just like we respect that they're there. It's like we
It
like
gains
we
you no.
want to
It
believe.
gains you no extra political power.
Well, no, but it's like I mean,
That's all my
if
point
you,
is. That's all. That's the thing is, you guys are misreading my. I'm not. I don't think I'm being horrendously combative. I'm just. I have a stance right now that I'm holding is like military service. Unlike what Heinlein would have predicted, does not give you any political stature at all in America. Therefore, we are not a warrior nation.
Wait,
we are a
it
merchant nation.
it wasn't a prediction, and like honestly, I'm not really aware of anyone who's seriously espousing that perspective. And I think, if we want to talk about Heinlein's point, I actually don't think it has much to do with military per se. But that
well, it doesn't like, and I brought that up earlier.
it's essentially
universal.
It's essentially impossible to govern well without meaningful, serious investment in your society, which is not just extractive, like call it sweat equity or whatever. And that ordeal is essentially the only way to have like to not be an to guarantee that somebody is not going to be an extractive shit.
Well, no, but Heinlein, he makes specific writings for that, and like what he does is like there's a character who like it's like he's enlisted like 6 or 7 different times, and like he just keeps getting extracted because he's not socially like feasible, but he keeps re-enlisting because like I'll do whatever they tell me to as long as I get the vote. And it's like to the point where they make him like a cook to just like keep him out of the way. And it's like that's like the point is like Heinlein was never saying that like being a veteran gives you the vote. It's just like the people who specifically, purposefully, and like of their own will choose to do it. Like that's what makes them special. It's because they have a vested interest in what goes on.
The frustration I think a lot of people see right now is that they see the previous world, right? Like I've had comments on Twitter saying like, well, the warrior class should become the kings again. They should become the rulers again. And I'm like very firmly on the merchant class. It's like I want conflict. I want constant meritocracy. I want zero sacred, like zero say as a Christian. Like I don't want any sacredness in government because that is a idolatrous thing. It's like I don't want any of this bona fides. I just want meritocracy, pure. And the thing is, we can't have like after World War I, we cannot have a military meritocracy. It's like the technology has made war so devastating.
Well, that's not even the point. It's just like the way war was viewed at the time is just it's fundamentally different in the way in which we view war now, because it was a state. It was a state of total war that you could not escape from, and you had to go forward. It's the closest you will get is 20 over 20 years ago. The amount of men who enlisted strictly because 9/11 happened, like that's completely like it's way bigger. Like the numbers like way bigger, but it's like that concept is completely proportional to like when the Lusitania got like sunk. Like it's just it's a completely different kind of mindset that you or it's I mean like you I mean you can even tie World War II into it. Like the amount of men who enlisted because Pearl Harbor happened. It's just like this is the way it works is just like there isn't something that is a massive draw to enlistment because we're not in a state of total war. the closest America has ever come to a state of total war, which is a very specific concept, is Pearl Harbor in World War II, the sinking of the Lusitania in World War One, and that's basically about it from like a World War standpoint. Like we are completely inundated for most of Europe's problems, so it's like if you want to rope us into a war, it's very difficult because we're completely removed from everyone's problems. It's like the only time like when people feel like I have to do something, it's like when the war comes here, and that was 9/11, Pearl Harbor, the sinking of the Lusitania. Like that was a common like rallying
which is
cry during World War One was
which is
remember the
funny
Lusitania.
which is funny to me because like 9/11 pretty much got hijacked almost immediately by our mercantile forces, which is not a good thing, by the way. Like Lockheed Martin and Northrop Grumman, it just became an extractive. Like the war could have ended, like as Trump has demonstrated, we could have ended that war very fast. Any of them, like Trump has ended Syria and the Venezuela. Like Venezuela didn't even have a war. As the guy who had Nick Fuentes had said, like he just went to sleep and then was awake by the time the Venezuelan war had ended.
Where
Complete
was
regime
it
change.
like we're in an odd place when it comes to like the military industrial complex because Eisenhower was aware that it existed
Yeah,
and he
yeah.
did nothing
He was
to like
warning
stop
against
it.
the merchant class.
And Vietnam was a W for like I guess you like yeah you can't really say like America won for Vietnam because it didn't, but like the military industrial complex and like that specific subset of America won. But it's like, is that good for the rest of us? Like, not really. Like, I mean, it's questionable, but it's just like America as a whole benefited from Vietnam like monetarily, and like we technically speaking won it by forcing Vietnam to go to the peace accords in like Paris, like a completely
Which
neutral
they did
third
not.
party where
Yeah.
we forced them to agree to our terms,
I
even though
mean,
we lost
basically,
the
Vietnam
war.
was us. Like Vietnam was America trying to play by. This is a different discussion, by the way. It's another dimension. America trying to like play by a rules-based order, international order, and then getting fucked.
But it's
Is
also
what
like
happened.
I think that no, I think talking about Vietnam, I think it ropes back around because I think like what people like about Helldivers and 40K and stuff like
Mm.
that, it's like I think that's like a sort of like weird like social reaction to what happened to Vietnam because the Vietnam aesthetic of soldiers is like it's very appealing because like the USGI like presence in Vietnam like that's an underdog story that you kind of resonate with because like it's men who are poorly equipped, you know, poorly manned in a area that they don't really understand and they have to wage war. It's like you kind of want to see them succeed
Well,
because
yeah,
you kind of
the thing is
understand
like
it.
the
But
Vietnam veterans had to face public scrutiny that was very high. Like
well, sure,
if they were
but
allowed to just kill whatever village they suspected was working with the enemy, that war had been over very quickly.
sure, but
If they were
like
allowed to like invade North Vietnam,
well,
like it
like,
was
but that's what
entirely
they
like
use the special forces for. Like they sent those
you could
guys
just
like over the line to
well
like
the
do
special
that.
forces are the expeditionary group, but like in terms of if we brought the actual muster of the United States military onto Vietnam, we could have just won that quickly. I
I mean,
were
I
hamstrung.
agree with you, but like the point I'm
So
trying to
there's a
make
power
is
fantasy there that like what if we weren't hamstrung, right?
it's not even like the power fantasy. It's like we want to see those guys like get like have like you know it's like in Helldivers or 40K or it's like we want to see these guys like have like the problems. It's like we want to see them overcome the problems. It's like a reaction like instinct from Vietnam. It's like we look at these guys who are in like a bad position, like they're dealing with a position that like is not ideal and you're like I hope you guys get it. I want you guys to win. I want you guys to like overcome because there's like a million pieces of like Vietnam media where it's like well the cards are stacked against us and well we lost and it's like well yeah but it's like what if we like push forward like what if we won like it's like you want to see like the working class guy get one over and like succeed. It's like that's like the ramp up. It's like we're all familiar with like the Vietnam aesthetic and we think it's very attractive because it's kind of cool. It's like you like to see like the working guy like struggle and maybe like some kind of like he gets some ground from the enemy and it's pretty cool. It's like
Yeah,
that's
from the Full Metal Jacket, the animal
yeah
mother perspective.
yeah
Like, when you
exactly.
think about Vietnam, it's like, I think we should win.
Well, but that's the problem with Vietnam is like Vietnam is a very livable conflict. Like there are boomers like still alive who served in Vietnam that you can talk to them about their experience, and it's like what was it really like, and they'll tell you. Like they're not going to hide from it.
Well, this is the
And
thing
it's
is I'm saying is like America is very much a "what have you done for me lately" kind of country, and it's like the greatest thing you could do to a veteran is like win. You want to give a veteran like a great life, win the war, bring them back in victory. Julius Caesar wouldn't have gotten shit if he had lost.
Well, I think bringing them back in respect is like I think that's good enough because like I think a lot of Vietnam guys like they just like I'm not judging you. It's just like what was it like? Tell me the truth. That's what a lot of them really want is like
this is extremely mean. This is extremely mean, and I apologize, but I think it's the truth. Is that if we start lauding losers, we're going to be in a really tough place as Americans.
It's not about lauding losers.
We have to win.
I want to know. Like I want to know what really happened because like that's the problem. Is like Vietnam was hamstrung.
Yeah, we can learn from losses because like we need to
all
win.
baby. Like they're all evil. They're all baby killers. Like fuck them. But it's just like I want to know like what's the real truth. Like what really happened. Like and like
I'm not interested in the real. I'm not interested in the real truth. I'm going to be very controversial. I'm not interested in the real truth. I want that there needs to be a truth of victory or defeat, and victory is far better. And if you don't have victory, you're going to have demoralization on a massive scale, and fewer people are willing to fight for the next one.
I mean, Alex, come on, man. Are you gonna pretend like we didn't have like demoralization on like the massive scale?
I'm not speaking on a moral. I'm speaking practically, not morally. You have to understand there's a separate. I don't sit here and like am governed by my moral part of my brain all the time. I'm governed by practical because I want my country to win.
But even practically, we killed the NVA at like a rate of 10 to 1. It's like we lost quote unquote on paper, but we won on the whole later. Like when we forced them to be like,
there's
a very unsympathetic peace treaty.
There's only one. There's no substitute for victory. You either are victorious or you're not. There's no substitute for victory. Does that make sense?
I mean, I agree, but it's just like I think that
we owe our veterans victory because that's going to determine our ability to fight in the next one.
I mean, but like, the problem was like trying to like owe them like the ability to fight in the next one. It was, gosh, what was it? 1970 or 1980 something. It was. I think Grenada was like the next big concept. And
yeah, Grenada was a big one. That was only the Marine Corps really involved in that. The Gulf War was probably the next big one. That was 90.
Yeah, but like by the time of the Gulf War, like all of like the Vietnam like military prowess, like they were gone.
This is the by the way the virtue of the merchant class is that they don't mind losses. Like you're gonna have a bad quarter once in a while. And then you learn from it.
It's not the losses. Like they just aged out of war. They were just too old to participate.
I'm talking about it like Vietnam at that moment. Like what I'm saying with the warrior mindset is pretty easy to demoralize. With the merchant mindset is probably pretty quick to just try again. But like I don't know. We're talking around this like the whole warrior versus merchant mindset.
Like, here's what's driving me nuts about this is like this is almost like Marxist literary analysis, like where it seems to be like a sort of class interest reading in with like not you can tell all sorts of stories about all sorts of situations and like the human experience is wildly varied. There are tons of perspectives on Vietnam which range from the personal to the national to the cynical to the heroic. Like it's all out there. like the and also all art is political. Like there is, if you are writing about, you know, social affairs of some sort, there is implied in the text what the right order is, or whether the question of right order is dubious, you know, et cetera, et cetera. All of these things are in various works, and the work speaks for itself. Like it does not seem to me productive to look at like a work and say, okay, we've got merchant class, warrior class interests, and read that onto the text. Like, it's simply not productive because it may be entirely alien or exogenous, like, to the politics of the work itself. And trying to bend it around the class analysis is like foolish. Additionally, attempting to say that, like, okay, within this class framework, all stories ought to be a certain way is like, well, okay, but that's not necessarily like what people will find, you know, compelling or invigorating. And in fact, you know, like people's, you know, people's conceptions of their world as like envisioned in fiction or as like idealized in fiction may be a mix of these things. And, you know, like, this just doesn't feel like a useful
Sure, and
angle of attack to me,
I
and
guess
it
if
feels
you-
like it, you know,
Yeah.
a lot of this conversation is actually like doing leftist media analysis with like a, you know, a rightoid skin on it.
That is
I was gonna say,
fascinating. And
I
think
guess
that-
we could,
yeah,
like,
I'm
I
humble.
guess we could
Yeah.
try to, like, if we want to, like, we could rope this back around to, like, the concept, like, at hand is, like, where does propaganda and, like, usage of, like, imagery and stuff like that, like how does that, like how does that loop back around into me, like, media literacy? Because at time, and I'll say this, like, just like before we, like, try to get back to, like, the item at hand, is like using Vietnam is actually a very useful metaphor, because, you know, if you look at media literacy, it's like it wasn't very good, like, back in the 60s either, because there's that, like, that famous, like, that very famous image of, like, the one, like, Arvin guy, like, putting, like, a revolver to the other guy's head and pulling the trigger. A lot of people, like, viewed this like, oh my god, he executed that poor man. But, like, that poor man, like, that quote unquote poor man who got executed, that was actually a, like, VC terrorist who
It was
bombed
quite
an
awful,
innocent
yeah.
family.
Mhm.
And, like, the man who executed him was a colonel who is who is a friend of the man whose, like, family he killed. And so it's like he took personal joy in, like, in that execution. Yes, that's true. But it's like this guy was, like, he wasn't just some innocent bystander. He was a man who deliberately did something wrong. And it's like that's how propaganda gets into the media, and, like, how
By the
it's
way, have you
bad.
seen-
Like, and,
have you
like,
seen-
even the, oh, sorry, go on.
I was gonna say, have you seen that study where it's like they found out that, by the way, women are an alien species to men? I'm sorry, it's a very contrite, like, cliched thing, but it's like they found that women don't really care about who's at fault. Whoever's at
Yeah.
punishment is who they have sympathy with. I'm like,
Right,
oh my
and they're
Well,
God.
yes,
they're
but, like, this
sympathetic.
isn't,
They're
like, this isn't,
sympathetic,
like,
and they're sympathetic or empathetic reactions
Oh.
don't change if the person in question was a transgressor or not.
That's horrendously psychotic to me. That's that's
Yes.
weird as fuck.
It's pretty
Like,
bad.
I
But
know, like, some people give men some shit for our, like, tendencies. We have some weird tendencies too. I feel like men are dwarves and women are elves. I was like,
well, in
These-
certain
these guys-
regards,
this guy's
in
fucking
certain
evil.
regards, yes. In certain
yeah,
regards,
these
yes.
guys, yeah, these guys evil as shit. I get, yeah.
But
I think-
another one, like, that's, like, very easily observable from, like, Vietnam, about, like, how, you know, the narrative and, like, propaganda fails is, like, after, like, the I think it was, like, after, like, the Tet Offensive. You know, Walter Cronkite, like, famously said, like, the war, like, the war is unwinnable. And, like,
Yeah.
years later, Cronkite said, like, I wish I had never said that because it wasn't true. And it's like,
should
well,
hang the guy.
let me ask you something, Walter. If you actually believed that, why would you say it? And it's just like it's like,
Yeah.
like
Wish.
the media manipulation of Vietnam was drastically in favor of like the leftist, even though reality was like in the opposite direction, that like most Americans wanted Americans to win Vietnam, to the point where it's like after the Kent State shooting, like Nixon's ratings actually like shot up, and he got re-election after Kent State, even though like that's considered like a watershed moment for like America, where it's like, oh, they killed those poor innocent protesters, but those poor innocent protesters like set fire to a building,
firebomb the
and, like
barracks.
hurled like rocks and like broken glass at National Guardsmen.
The fact of the
fire.
fact of the matter is that the leftists won a long PR war after Kent State, but like
Yes.
American sentiments were very, very different, and they were a lot wiser to, you know, this BS at the time, at least on an everyday level. They had not had this massive PR war waged against them, particularly in schools.
It's also a propaganda.
I just want to touch on propaganda, because like this is a bit of a weird category. Like the meaning of propaganda is that which is to be propagated. You know, it's not necessarily a bad thing itself. Like marketing is propaganda, evangelization
Everything
is propaganda. Like the espousal, the espousal of a position publicly is propaganda. Now, what people usually mean when they talk about propaganda is particularly an espousal of an arrangement of looking at things, or a way of looking at things that is meant to alienate one from the truth, or rather from the very metacognitive process of like making sense of things, and having a sort of intellectual framework which admits of, you know, correspondence theory of truth. What you're talking about is actually like specifically calibrated messages that are, you know, meant to erode the understanding of truth. And like it's a standard form that we'd talk, like when we use the term propaganda, like, okay, everything is propaganda, but what you're specifically talking about is for instance, a trick that postmodernism says, which is like all values are equal, but look at you, you know, or like, you know, all values have like the relatively same flimsy basis, but including my values and your values, but look at you, you're a hypocrite. You believe that yours has a strong basis. Therefore, in the world of all values being equal, yours is uniquely false because of hypocrisy, and therefore you must accept my perspective. It's a you know, it's a sort of linguistic trick or bait and switch, which is meant to undermine metacognition and the correspondence theory of truth at all, like in its entirety. I think that's the sort of thing we're talking about when we talk about propaganda in a negative valence. But like, you know, the generic term, like using the generic term propaganda actually does put you, like, ironically enough, in a very linguistically vulnerable position to be wrecked by exactly that sort of attack.
I think what I'm trying to say when I say propaganda at that level historically is just past a certain point, the media bias of the greatest generation lost out to the media bias of the boomers. Because the boomers who were making up a ready class at the time of Vietnam, of a politically potent political class, it shifted from like that of their parents. Whereas a lot of the greatest generation, they loved Nixon. They wanted to re-elect Nixon. They were the class that that elected Nixon in the first place. It's just like what they thought and how they felt and like how they voted. It was very different, like from the boomers. And so I say propaganda, but it's just like the younger classes, like they were getting more political and social power at the time, and that's how Vietnam actually shifted. It wasn't realistically because Vietnam was necessarily unpopular, it's just because the media mechanism presented it as unpopular.
Okay. I
If
mean,
that
like,
makes sense,
yeah,
I
the
could
media determines, like, we're a democratic nation, and the media determines public sentiment, and the media was very consolidated back then. So essentially, the news could say whatever they wanted to say.
Well, it's like, and I brought
they
I
weren't-
brought up like Walter Cronkite. Walter Cronkite said like, oh, like the war is unwinnable, and like years later, he said like he regretted making that statement.
Yeah, my erroneous conflation of this like whole class system of like merchants versus warriors. I guess I was looking at it from too much of a modern lens.
It's
'Cause,
not it's not
well-
necessarily erroneous. It's just
Well,
the
okay, let me
scope
give
is
me-
probably a little bit wider than you probably thought.
let me give my piece really quick. Merchants are going to become more, because merchants also. So if you include technologists inside of merchants, because technologists are a type of merchant, they just have an artisanal trade they ply that they then engage with the mercantile interface, right, to the rest of society. Like if I'm a great UAV designer, a drone designer, and I have some special sauce that I put into it, that's probably going to determine. So I was kind of like, I guess my fault was that I was kind of gauging previous wars post Eisenhower's military industrial complex speech to what's modern. I think as like I was a little bit early on the asymptote, is what I'm saying. So there's going to be an asymptote towards mercantilists and technologists, which are the same thing as far as I'm concerned, determining warfare until the point where there's not really any warriors left. And that's what I was saying before. I guess what I'm saying is, like, in a long way, I was wrong. I was putting my analysis a little bit early, but I think that there's going to be a warfare that's determined by mercantilists / technologists in the future. I don't know how much relevance Vietnam actually has at all to the modern warfare, other than the propaganda.
Well, aside from the propaganda, it's just like the technology and the mechanism of war is why Vietnam is important, because like we waged war in a way that we have never waged war before. At that point, it was there was a certain like militarism and like military strategy that like we were expecting, and that's a condemnation sort of like parody of America that like kind of sort of rings true. Is like the whole parody is we're perfectly prepared in advance for a war that we don't actually end up fighting. And the whole concept of that is like we're perfectly prepared for a war with Russia. Oh wait, our war isn't with Russia, it's with South Vietnam? Oh, okay, I guess. And it's like everything that we perfected is wrong. And so it's like we have to we gotta we gotta we gotta resupply on the fly. We gotta negotiate a lot of contracts, but like we're good for it.
Well, I think war has reached its terminal point with the mercantile class, though, is that like now war is fought with tariffs and sanctions and the threats of massive military action, and then the surgical strike of warriors when necessary.
I mean,
like,
as
right
much
now,
as much
Sure,
as I loved it,
I think
I'm
Cosmo-
sorry, I'll let
Cosmo-
Cosmo take it. Yeah,
Is it
Cosmo-
a Clausewitz thing? Peace is a continuation of war by other means.
well, I mean, yes, but I was going to say
I think
what
so.
I was going
The
to
thing is, like, pieces. All right, the feeling among East Asians, like my father and his family, is that peace is a lie. You're never at peace. You're always at war. The frame of the war changes, whether it's a kinetic war with warriors, guns, and such, whether it's economic, such and such, or it's even like some other propagandistic. Like, people will continue to contend with each other, and the weakness of the West, I think, is that we tend to categorize the frames of war far too slow versus the way that the war is waged. And what I mean by that is, like, we don't really recognize a color revolution until we're like 30 years into it, or a white collar, like, professorial academic revolution until we're like 50 years into it. I was like, America has been at war since like 1962 with communist Russia and communist China, and they've just not acknowledged it. That's what I'm saying.
I was gonna say the whole thing of like coloring, like about like acknowledging like a color revolution, like that's really difficult for a lot of reasons. But what I was gonna say is like when it comes to like war with other nations, it's like Reagan was technically correct, whereas I don't like giving Reagan too many like kudos, but he was partially correct in that mutually assured destruction is a real concept, but it's not because of nukes. It's because of if you actually wage like full-scale warfare between China and its affiliates and America and its affiliates, essentially a quote-unquote world war that's like soft but like also still hard. It's the amount that you would lose in World War III, like completely excluding nuclear devices. It's whoever wins will still lose on such a massive scale to get that victory that it's just not worth it.
How did Cosmo magically get another drink? What the fuck? Cosmo just has his drink full. What happened?
Like mutually assured destruction is like
I want to know how Cosmo got his new drink. I don't have a full drink. My drink is like half empty.
He had someone else pour it for him, I guess.
She got a man on the inside.
He's got a woman on the inside.
Eagle-eyed viewers will have spotted when it happened.
Oh my gosh.
Alex Cosmo's just he's just Alex Cosmo.
I'm gonna make my drink like a proper plebeian. I have to go make my own drink.
No. Alex Cosmo is just Hugh Hefner. He's got bunnies around that just bring him fresh drinks.
That's amazing.
That's I won't fight the mystique, but it's not true.
Next stream, just get like a red velour, robe, and just be like, "What are you guys talking about?" No, this is magically refill itself.
This is what I'm saying.
But no, it's just like that's the concept. I think Reagan was correct. Just like warfare will perpetuate itself in such a way that like no one's gonna cross the Rubicon, because if you were to do so, it would be so catastrophic for societies that even if you won, it's dicey if it would like actually be worth it. And it's not the nukes. It's just the concept before the nukes of just like how many men will die, how much infrastructure will get destroyed. It's being counter warfare is like what won over nukes.
I don't agree with the Cold War consensus. I think we just basically just do whatever the fuck we want.
It's not like technically speaking like Cold War consensus.
We just stole a president. We're about to. We might kill an Iranian dictator pretty soon. Who knows?
Well, what I'm saying is it becomes like a value proposition. It's just like, does it cost us too much? Yes. Nah, we're not going to do it. Does it cost us too much? No. All right, we'll do it.
You ever played a board game where you're the obvious like front runner and you have so many more resources than anybody else?
It's called Monopoly. And I invest in all the dark blue.
You just do what you need to do,
man. Railroads.
Oh yeah, Ticket to Ride. You just do what you need to do, man. That's probably what Trump is going to do with Iran. I don't know. We'll see. I mean,
I think if Trump could override what we did to Iran back in like the 70s and 80s, he's in the Hall of Fame of like top 5 best presidents for me. Is like the color revolution in Iran being like a co-product of like bad Reaganite policy. It's like, yeah, overturn that. It's bad.
Is it Reaganite or is that Carter policies?
No, it was a Reagan. I'm pretty sure it was a Reagan thing. Like the whole like color revolution to like return to like Islamic fundamentalism. That was a breakdown. I think that was something that was set up by the Carter administration, but it was something that was not upheld by the Reagan. So
you're
by
talking
like Reagan not trying to like
Contra thing.
That
it's the Iranian Revolution against the Shah. By the way, my college roommate when I was a wee lad, My college roommate was the grandson of a general under the Shah, which was very interesting. I would like to see Iran regain the kingdom.
Un-Muslimize, yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah, I guess like my main point of the merchant versus warriors thing is like the merchants seem to be cleaning house. I don't know. Trump is cleaning house.
Being a merchant,
he's using economics to basically starve out our enemies.
Sure.
Properly.
I mean, being a merchant is good. I appreciate it. I am a merchant.
I think warriors are kind of retarded.
I like having warriors around.
They have good hearts, but they're
not the
retarded.
smartest, but like they're good to have around.
The warriors are right now busy with the Epstein files.
Well, I mean, yes, but also it's just kind of
because they're retarded.
It depends on what you mean by warriors, because like once again, you know, I would not include soldiery in this. Like,
correct.
You know, armies
warriors,
sometimes
like Sean
include
Ryan,
warriors.
Braxton McCoy.
So
like
here's the thing. Here's the thing. Modern, just to be clear, modern armies are typically made up of soldiers. Every now and again, you will find, you know, like warrior ethos people who are in an army and ostensibly professionally soldiers. Most of the people coming out of the military, no matter how they style themselves, like almost none of them are warriors. They're all soldiers with delusions of grandeur. So you know, here's the thing. Here's the like you can look at like historical periods with real solid warrior classes, and you know what the implications of that are culturally, how they behave, sort of how their economic, you know, like their economic behaviors outside of war, their cultural behaviors, etc. Almost none of those cases you will find looks anything like a modern soldier or like, you know, a special forces podcaster.
That's a good
and
point.
like I seriously object to calling those people the warrior.
That's what I said. Like a proper warrior is raised from birth to be a warrior, and that's all they know how to do. That's their profession.
It's
certainly not all they know how to do. And in fact, almost every serious warrior class like was very, very insistent on, you know, the cultivation of a wide variety of skills.
Oh, I see.
It's
for instance,
America specifically,
to be a proper samurai, you had to be like an architect, like you had to be able to do other things, and like very specific. Like you had to have 2 of 3. There were more than this, but like you had to have 2 of 3 of architect, world-class flower arranger.
Is it pre-Edo period or not? Because the post-Edo period is like very much we're not really at war.
Samurai is a universal. It's a universal concept in Japan. People will be like, oh, like well, but like post-Edo, it's like they only did this. Is like there was a societal aspect. Like the samurai were expected to uphold a certain like society, even though they were just like this or that. It's like the concept was still there, and this is something that is exclusive only to Japanese society. In America, like it's like, oh, like what is our warrior class? It's like it's the guys who join the army when like times are tough. Like that's a difficult concept to stratify.
General George S. Patton is the closest thing to a warrior.
But like samurai is like the closest you're gonna get to like samurai in its latest, like its absolute like dead last generation. Like that's the closest you're gonna get to modern day like chivalry for a European knight, which had died out long, long before the samurai. It's like it was very similar. It's different, but it's very similar.
What's your point? Get to the point.
Well, my point is what America deems as a man of martial honor it's different than a knight or a samurai, because a man of martial honor could be a sheriff or a military lieutenant or a gunfighter, an itinerant gunfighter. It's just like America is different than every other society on earth because what is a man of honor who has retired from war is difficult to ascertain.
It's a decoupling of blood from deed.
Well, okay, so I brought up a couple hours ago I brought up the James gang as a good example of why you must kill your wild dogs of war after the war is over, because if you don't, they're just gonna run wild.
Cosmo may
And
describe them as
Jesse
staff.
James,
Yeah.
Jesse James is actually the iconus of that concept, because he was a man who had an abject hate for America, who had a war that he kept fighting even though the war was over. And you had to kill Jesse James because he would never stop, because there was a hole in it, there was a hole deep in the center of him that would never be filled by anything. So
I find that in America, the warrior, anyone who resembles a warrior class tends to become a massive liability. Has to be put down.
the warrior,
We don't have a
serves this
cultivated warrior
class when
class.
there is lawlessness. If there is law, then the law will deal with him. If there is no law,
Well,
then
when
he
the
will
law
run
is there,
rampant.
when the law is there, they become merchants or something similar. I don't know.
Well, Jesse James
What
didn't
happened to
become a
General
merchant. He
Patton,
was a
right?
soldier who was left. He was a soldier who was so tied to the war in which he fought that, after the war was over, he would refuse to believe the war was over. So he just waged on anyone who came across his path,
liability. Kill him.
and they did.
Yeah, good.
But they
Nice.
didn't respect the
Go
man
on.
who killed him.
What? Why wouldn't you? He did a good. Yeah, got a warrior. He's gone renegade.
Because the man who killed him was another outlaw.
Oh, well, it is what it is.
The man
Can't
who
get all
killed
the
Jesse
outlaws, can
James
you?
was the coward Robert Ford who shot him in the back.
Outlaws killing outlaws, man. This is what it is. I don't know what the problem is. What I'm saying is that you have this warrior class, but they become despondent in times of peace.
You want, but that's my point. Is you want. I think you should want a gunslinger class who
Oh,
will sort, who would
That's
sort out who.
fascinating. That is actually fascinating. And I don't disagree with you. This is a lapse in my thinking. I look at guys like who's the famously imprisoned fella in the UK who just liked fighting? Gosh, who was his name?
Bronson.
Bronson.
Yeah.
Bronson. I feel like Bronson deserves a place in society. He is actually a necessary cog in society.
You say
We
that,
need
but
people who
he
fight.
didn't just beat up bad guys. He would beat
He
up
beat up
anyone who got
anybody.
in his way.
Yeah, hell yeah, that's awesome.
Well, no,
Good
this is
for him.
what if an innocent
We
merchant
need to
got in
put
his
more
way?
people who's bad in his way. What I'm saying is that there are some people who are just born to fight. And they argue, this is a lapse in my thinking. I don't actually have an answer to this. There's this weird paradox in my mind that we want an ordered, trustworthy society, but we also need these very despondent, violent people.
Can I
who are
ask
needed
you a
very
question?
once in a while.
Because all orderly society is ultimately premised on violence, and the capacity for it needs to be maintained.
Can I ask you a question, Alex?
Yeah, you can ask me whatever you want. I don't care.
Are you basically aware of the the gunfight at the OK Corral, Wyatt Earp and all that?
I'm vaguely aware of it.
Have you ever seen Tombstone?
Nope.
No.
I gotta
Really?
catch up on my Western movies.
Really, you've never seen Tombstone?
No.
Okay.
By the way, my childhood was entirely out of all media. My childhood was essentially a prison. I was essentially a prisoner. I had some awareness of Pokemon, and I watched Star Wars. I didn't really know what Star Trek was.
In the capacity of the Old West, a lawman who deputized both of his brothers and one of their close personal friends to go and deal with a cadre of outlaw, basically cattle rustlers, and said, surrender your guns or else. And then when the cattle rustlers drew their guns and the Earp brothers and their friend gunned them down. Do you think that is a basic application of justice? I'm not like there's
I don't know.
there's not a wrong answer here. I'm just what is your personal opinion?
Personal opinion is cattle rustlers must die.
Okay, well,
Thieves have to die.
okay, I would agree with you. Now, how would you feel if I said that the brothers who were the sheriff's deputies also owned a saloon, and there is strong public evidence that the saloons cheated the men who were the cattle rustlers in games of chance? How would you feel about it then?
They almost also die. Everyone must die. That's the only moral decision. I don't
Then
know.
I'm not trying to like
Trial by combat. Like my real answer is trial by combat.
I'm just trying to gauge how you would react to reading history.
You're asking me to basically decide which one is the most delicious nugget of shit. As a man who pervades many nuggets of shit.
That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to point out a lot of people have this weird stumble that they do is oh, snap decision. I'm doing this. It's okay. What if I gave you extra
two things. Shut up. Two things. You steal, you die.
Sure.
You play games of gambling and chance, and you get fucked. You're just a fucking retard.
Okay. Yeah. No, I agree.
Don't gamble. It's like if I paid a prostitute and turned out to be a dude. I was like, don't buy a prostitute. Or if I got a staph infection, it's like, well, that's you got cheated because you were fucking a whore. Yeah, you got cheated because you were gambling.
Well, yes, but
I don't have sympathy for people who gamble.
That's the whole point I'm trying to make is a lot of
people. Noble gambling?
They'll try to a lot of people on the left will try to undermine American history. Actually, Chud, that hero you thought was a hero, he's not really a hero because here's some additional information. It's okay, well, I reviewed the additional information and I still think the guy who got shot deserves to get shot. So
yes.
What's your point now?
Yeah, don't steal someone's cattle. Cattle is really expensive.
Yeah, don't be a cattle rustling cartel and you won't get shot. Wild concept, I know. Maybe don't try to cheat cards in a guy's casino and you won't get shot. Wild concept, I know.
Yeah.
It's American society gives us a lot of immunization to a lot of what we deal with now. Is would you deal with this specific kind of fraud? No. Would you deal with it now? Probably not. It's you hear about it and you think about it to yourself. It's maybe a lot of this Western movie making kind of propagandization is maybe it's not propaganda. Maybe they're trying to teach us something. Maybe we should remember all of this. I don't know. Cosma, please talk. You're the smartest person here. Please say something about something.
It's hilarious.
I don't know where to go with this, honestly.
I think it's kind of a clear cut moral decision there between cattle rustling and gambling.
It's
don't
the
steal
concept
cows
of
and don't gamble.
propaganda. It's just so many people they have this idea of what is, and then you can refer to historical context of what actually happened, and then be no, I think I like the way I thought of it better.
I think as a man who fancies himself as a Christian, I feel like degenerate people deserve degenerate results.
I would suppose so, I guess. But
I'd fill that cow with pipe bombs. Blow them up. If they want to rustle my cattle, they're gonna get blown up. I don't know.
I'm just saying, it's American society
I have no idea
with degenerate behavior. It's it's not what it used to be. It used to be he's hey, leave my cows alone. He's no, I'm gonna steal them. He's okay, you just pull your gun out, and you just you shoot them. It's it's life. That's how it works.
But that is an interesting point, actually, that America has actually had to deal with constant internal chaos and constant internal justice for its existence, which I feel like has fueled our moral compass. And then a lot of people think of like what should be or what shouldn't be, especially in the old world. Whereas Americans are fairly practical with it, and they're fairly quick. Like obviously Venezuela was violating any agreements we had. They were working with the enemy. And it's weird that I see like Europe nowadays like so willing to signal that they want to work with the Chinese. It's like, this is going to get you a shot in the gut in the OK Corral. It's like, what are you doing?
Well, but
this is some, like you cannot. Let's say you're my cow. Let's say you're my a frontier wife. If you say you're going to have sex with the Chinaman, I'm just going to shoot the Chinaman in the gut, and then you right after. So what are you doing? This is absolutely imbecilic.
We're trying to talk about like media literacy. It's like, at what level does what you're being told actually represent?
Yeah, so I'm saying, like for Helldivers too and other media, is like, why do you Europeans seem to get off on talking about America? That's very bizarre to me.
Well, because they want us to be the bad guy.
Why are we the Nazis? Like, okay, Cosma, have you seen this before? It's like, why are the prime bad guys of Europe America and not like China or Russia? It's very bizarre.
Communism.
Like, is Europe already lost?
Yes.
I don't know.
Think about it. Entertain the thoughts. We're not going to draw any conclusions, okay? Because I don't know either. That's why I'm asking. I love Europe. I want Europe to do really, really well. I get like this weird feeling. Like, are they already lost? Resentment is what I had my witness for this.
Well, it's like that thing I presented to you guys like a couple days ago. It's like, oh yeah, like we want to like double down on like trans your kids, and it's like, I'm sorry, it's like they're just gonna keep cavalrying this idea, and I'm like, now we're done. Like you're over. Like you can't come back from stuff like this. Like sub adults being like, yeah, please trans yourselves. We'll give you a gift card to like your favorite chippy. It's like, you guys are done. Like, your society is ruined. Like, I can't abide by this.
There's a map of like likely voters for Trump versus Kamala. I'll have to find that in Europe. That was quite elucidating. Europe. But the Europeans are like way far left of what we are. It's actually quite horrendous. I gotta find it. Essentially, the only Western European country that was the most pro-Trump was England, and it was only at 38%, which is less than California. So the most pro-Trump European country was more left than California. And that's when I completely blackpilled on Europe. So you guys are absolutely fucked. And I looked at a map of media trust in Europe, and it was extraordinarily high. And I said, to reiterate, you guys are completely fucked. So essentially, Europe, it just believes whatever the media tells them to. And they are going to vote in leftists all the time. I think they're screwed. I think they're completely screwed. And this is the disagreement that Stelios had, I think, with Dan Tubb. Is like, are you actually able to be an ally to the United States? Because by the way, if the United States actually had an ally, you know what we would do? Is to say like, we got a problem in Iran, go handle it. The United States wants nothing to do with it. Go handle the Iranian issue. And they would just do it. SAS would show up or whoever the fuck else, and it'd be all done. And America would have to do nothing.
Probably.
The problem is America has to do fucking everything. Like, what does Europe actually contribute to any of this stuff? So I'm saying is like, for this like Helldivers 2 Super Earth. Like we all know who Earth is. It's America. Like Europe doesn't actually have the willpower to do any of this shit. Will they take out Hamas? Will they take out the Iranian Shah? Sorry, not Shah. Oh my God, that's the opposite. Khomeini.
Literally, the only thing that will get me to agree with the Middle East, quote unquote, is if there is a massive object revolution to overthrow the Khomeini for a like Christian power of some sort.
Yeah, I don't even know if we need to intervene in Iran. Honestly, I don't know what's going on there.
They're trying, but it's just like I can't tell if it's like a actual Christian revolution or if it's just some kind of like weird like soft Islamic group. I don't know. I can't tell.
All the voices that are telling us to not get involved in foreign wars are telling us like, well, you should be doing this. I was like, is Iran our business or not? I don't know.
It's only our business that they further our interests. Like it's just the way it is.
Like a warrior would probably say like any Islamic regime would be an enemy. However,
Yes.
a merchant would probably say like whoever's supplying our enemies is an enemy.
If it's for real, it's yes. Like we will support you, but it's just like if you're not actually gonna support us, then like yeah, fuck off.
We'll see. So, by the way, the thing is, Venezuela required months of U.S. Special Forces training in a simulated compound that was built to mirror exactly what Maduro's compound looked like. A lot of naval movements to get things in position, proceeding by months. So months of naval movements, months of training in a simulated environment, and we apparently had someone on the inside of Maduro's guard. So yeah, like things are not going to be as fast as Venezuela. Venezuela was a long time coming, and we had some advantages, whereas Iran, we don't know if we actually have. Who knows? We wouldn't know until long after the operation is done. So we do know that they are supplying oil to our enemies. And we've, I guess, cut off China's oil. Like 90%, what was it, 80 or 90% of their oil is coming from Venezuela?
Yeah. We tried to tell them years ago, is like, please don't like ally with these people because they're just like gonna take advantage of you, and they're like, oh lol, whatever, like we don't care. It's like, okay, yeah, I guess you do care because you're part of like their sphere like influence.
This is the reason why I abuse the whole like merchant versus warrior ethos for America, is that seem to be playing a very merchant heavy game with the rest of the world, is that we are attacking their resources and sources of wealth. Like we're attacking China's sources of wealth. We are benefiting from rare earth elements found in Japan and the United States. It seems like we're fighting a merchant war before we fight a hot war, and hopefully we'll avoid a hot war. Probably never actually have one, because we are going after China. I don't even know. The thing is, the problem is China is so opaque. Like they are sending tremendous fishing fleets to go and fleece all of South America. Like, is this a sign? It's
not working. It's not going to work.
Is this a sign of starvation? Like, why do they need this? Are they just trying to destroy ecosystems of their rivals? Like, what's going on? Because if they need it,
it's consolidation of consolidation of resources. That's what they want.
It's not just resources. It's also boundary pushing. It's mid-level violence. You're fucking with people's sovereignty claims. You're taking their resources. So there is an element of like resources to it. What's the old joke? if it has 4 legs and isn't a chair, if it flies and isn't a plane, if it swims and isn't a submarine, the Chinese will eat it.
Yeah, that was Prince Charles. Prince Charles said that.
Yeah. Anyhow, like, so there is some of that, but it seems the real purpose is push other people's boundaries, find out what they will and will not push back on, take their resources, get them cheaply, deprive them of it if they're not going to push back on you, and then fundamentally like erode their claims to territorial sovereignty vis-a-vis their territorial waters. It's just mid-level violence. It's essentially a constant shit test where they get resources if you fail. Also China gives absolutely no shits about the tragedy of the commons. They don't give a single flying fuck. Oh, I think we lost Alex.
No, I mean, if he's the host, I feel like we should fuck him.
Yeah, I would really love to see that be addressed. How and there's a lot of trickiness to like why it's difficult to address. Alex and I have talked about this offline in the past. I think part of the secret is privateers. Just you like countries just issue bounties for Chinese fishing fleets.
I would say so.
One of the things that actually makes it tricky for them to enforce is how difficult it is to prove the overfishing and stuff. But I reckon it's probably something you could do with satellites.
Well, people always say that, but it's like it's almost always a social thing, and they just don't want to like deal with it.
Kill them all. Kill anyone who's in their territory they're not supposed to be. Just kill them.
Oh,
no, sink that bastards.
No, yeah. I think that's another appreciable way to do it. Part of the problem is like they're sending the fleet into countries that don't really have the capability to do that.
Yes, we can send them an invoice and kill them and send them an invoice.
No, yeah.
Hey,
I think that's the Dunrow doctrine solution. Is that we just do it.
We'll just charge him later.
Yeah,
just like set them on fire. It's like we burn. Well, that's what you have to do. This is a pirate fleet. Fuck them. They're taking resources in an area that we're not entitled to do that. Like, I think the Dunrow doctrine eventually will evolve to be extraordinarily hostile to any foreign incursion to take even a modicum of resources. That's the way it should be. Unfortunately, the Chinese are a bunch of third worlders, the communist Chinese, and you have to essentially just punish them horrendously if you want them to learn anything. This is the kind of society where if someone spits, you have to cut their tongue out. And that's the only way they're going to learn. There's no gentle or humane way to deal with them. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Just toss the fisherman into the propeller. Just the back of the boat. It's like, so what are you gonna do? Yeah, sorry, go ahead, Cosmo. You're gonna.
Oh, I was just gonna say I'm hitting time.
Yes, we are hitting the end of this thing. So I apologize for the exhaustive analysis of this, but yes, like our fictions, like Helldivers 2 or Starship Troopers.
You know what you know what you're tuning into when it's men drinking and then discussing things. Like we might not get around to every time.
What is a warrior? Like, what is a warrior essentially? Like, and this is the price that we pay, right? And yes, thank you for joining us.
Yes,
Hope it was elucidating. Any closing thoughts from anybody?
Nope.
All right. Mine neither. All right, guys. Enjoy yourselves. And I'll see you next week on Friday. I'll see you guys later. Bye.
Adios.